We've got our good friends Lindsay and Meg with us. Both of you have been on the podcast before, so you're no strangers to the podcast. Meg, can you just say what you do in the world? I don't know, what's your introduction to emo music? Because we'll talk about all emo today, but yeah, what's your introduction to emo music?
Yeah,
Maybe actually, yeah, like what's the first emo band that you listened to, you think?
oh gosh, you didn't tell us you're going to ask us that. Well, what I do in the world is I'm an English lit teacher for high school students, and I also DJ once a month a goth night at a local like venue. I am in a band that is very tiny, but uh, I'm trying to think. Oh, I actually have an answer. I just
Great.
realized the first time I ever heard the term emo, I was like 14 and very in the throes of being obsessed with ska. Like that was pretty much all I was listening to. Besides a little pop punk, I was really, really into Reliant K at the time because they were not as raunchy as those Blink boys. So I listened to Reliant K. But I had like a boyfriend at the time, freshman year, of course. Those relationships are super formative. And his older sister asked me if I liked any emo, and I said, "What is that? Is that like ska?" And she said, "Not even a little bit. Do you know who the Juliana Theory is?" And I said no. And so she showed me Juliana Theory. So that is the first emo band, obviously, Christianish emo band, but that was the first
And was it
time I ever
was
heard
it a true gateway? Like, did that like hook you right away, or were you like, nah, this isn't for me?
No, it actually did not. It wasn't my like it was like a horseshoe, I think, for emo a little bit for me. It wasn't until kind of later in my freshman year, I think I shared this with you guys, some dude that I met on AIM, because that's super safe as a freshman in high school. What I found him from typing in the words Five Iron Frenzy in the first, middle, last name of AOL Instant Messenger. He told me used to listen to ska, but now I listen to more like harder stuff. And I was like, well, okay, well, like who? And he said Under Oath. So I started listening to Under Oath. Then obviously that was during Changing of Times era. Then they came out with They're Only Chasing Safety. And then I realized, oh, like this is screamo. Like this is like emo, screaming emo. And then I got extremely into Emery, as you all know. And so that was kind of my entryway into other emo.
Good call.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But very like distinctly Christian. I mean, like Juliana
Yeah.
Theory to Under Oath to Emery, like it was all very. And obviously, I would imagine it like branched out from that. But the fact
Absolutely.
that like Christian bands were the bands that introduced you to that is pretty impressive.
Yeah, I mean, I was in high school and I was very, very much into trying to follow Jesus as a high school student, as much as a high school student can. And so I wanted music that reflected my faith, at least to some degree. It didn't have to be all like worship adjacent, but yeah, I just really thought, wow, these bands are good and are sometimes singing about stuff that I believe in.
Makes sense.
Love it. And Lindsay, say your name, or say what you do in the world, and then what's the band that introduced you to emo?
Okay, so I am a freelance blogger. It's like a marketing job that I just do from my basement. It's fantastic. And yeah, so I think that my emo journey very much mirrors Meg's in a lot of ways. I first really kind of dove into the emo world whenever I dated this guy in my high school who we met through like Facebook whenever Facebook was still kind of cool. And he said that his name was Hazen, and then I got to school on Sunday or on Monday, and everybody's like, "Oh, that's emo Chris," and so it turns out that he just made up.
Hazen.
And like I have
Hazen's
a million.
Totally an emo name too. That's awesome.
It is, yeah. It was his middle name, but he went by it. And I had to break up with him because I brought him to church, and he started singing "Nothing But the Blood of Virgins" over "Nothing But the Blood of Jesus."
He sounds awesome.
Like, can I please, just like, this is such a tangent. And I broke up with him because I went over to his house, and he looked at me, he's like, "What's wrong with you?" And I said, "Nothing." And he goes, "Do you want to come inside and watch a movie with me?" And I'm like, "Okay." So he watched The Prestige, and he stopped it halfway through, and he goes, "Something's really wrong with you. What's up?" I said, "I think we need to break up." And he goes, "Do you want to finish watching this movie?" And we did.
Oh,
and
thank
so,
God.
like...
You at least got to the David Bowie part.
Yeah, we did. We did. I think we broke up right at the bird scene, but anyway.
Amazing.
So that was emo Chris. He kind of started like getting me into harder music, but mine was Emery as well. And because
Great.
I like got really into like Christian emo music, and like there was a CD that Tooth and Nail put out where it was One Dark Summer, I think, and like half of it was Tooth and Nail, the other half was Solid State, and that's where I first heard Paper Hanger by Me Without You, and then from there I just like spiraled, and here we are.
Oh, nice. I dig that.
I need to add some fun fact. You called your ex-boyfriend emo. What was his name? Emo Hazel?
Emo Chris. Hazen was his middle name, but Emo Chris, yes.
There we go. Emo Chris. Okay, Hazen. I am about to go tomorrow to San Diego to see Emery play through all of The Question with my friend Robbie, who in high school was called Emo Robbie. I just needed to share that information.
This is amazing.
Full circle here.
That's incredible.
Awesome.
Story.
I would love for you to just show up to like Robbie's place of work and just be like right in front of his coworkers, just like Emo Robbie.
I don't know if he'd love that or hate that, but probably love that.
Either way, you got to do
Yeah,
it.
you
So.
should.
Yeah.
Great.
Well, if you can't tell, we are gonna do a whole episode of emo music, and specifically emo hot takes. So we're all four of us. We have 3 hot takes about
Hold
emo
up, Mason.
music.
How did you get into emo? I don't know if I've ever heard this story. You can't
Trying to
put
think
the
of, like-
onus on our guests and then not deliver the goods yourself.
Well, that's fair. I'm trying to think of like what were maybe the first emo bands I ever heard. I mean, this might get into one of our hot takes, is like what even qualifies for emo music. But I'm trying to think, like, in terms of like what we maybe think of as like very distinctly emo, because it was already mentioned about Under Oath. I do remember being in like 4th grade and listening to Reinventing Your Exit for the first time on Steel Roots. They had their like top 10 music video countdown, and so I'm watching Steel Roots and listening to this song, and I knew like there was part of me where I'm like, I don't like the fact that they're screaming, but I'm so intrigued by it as well, and I didn't really know what to do with it. And it was one of those things that kind of like was an acquired taste. And then I had to obviously convince my mom that the screaming music was Christian music as well, so that way I could listen to it.
Good time.
Yeah, that in terms of like like what we think of as like really truly like Warped Tour kind of emo music, that was probably like my first gateway to that. Around that time, like I would have been listening to Amberlin as well as May as well. Like it all kind of happened at the same time.
Sure. For me, it was. It actually has to do with a porta potty.
Of course.
I was in Minneapolis.
Naturally.
I was in Minneapolis with my dad, and I don't remember where we were at or what we were doing, but I went to a porta potty to go to the bathroom. This is like 2001 or 2 or something like that. And I saw this flyer on the porta potty that said Jimmy Eat World live on Saturday or something like that. I don't remember exactly, but it's like Jimmy Eat World. That's a cool band name. And then, of course, I saw The Middle on MTV, and that got my my gander up for a number of different reasons, because that music video is very formative in a young boy's life. So, but that's where it started for me. So, good times.
I remember my mom loved the song The Middle. When I showed it to her, she was like, oh, this is such a good message. It's so positive. And then it came on MTV. I was like, this is that song. And then I'm there like sitting in horror as my mom is watching with me. She goes, why did they have to do all of that? That's just so unnecessary. Like, no. I just got my mom to like secular, like emo, like pop punk adjacent stuff. And now she's all disappointed.
I got in trouble. I got in trouble for listening to Amberlin because my dad walked in and it was Complaints of Violins Become My Only Friends. And for whatever reason, he heard Sex and Violence Are My Only Friends. And I'm like,
Nice.
that's not it. That's not what it says. He's like, why are you listening to this garbage? I'm like, it's Christian music, Dad.
You know what? We hear what we want to hear,
That's
right?
That's true. I'm going to text him right now and let him know.
You should.
Oh my gosh.
Live tweet it. Let's hear it.
Well, what we're gonna do is we're gonna give our emo hot takes. So we each have 3 emo hot takes, and we're basically like the judging of this is. So one person's going to give their hot take, and then all of us are going to judge based on not only how hot it is. So like, there might be like an emo hot take. Like, for example, we could be like, Jimmy World is good. That's not very hot. Like, we might agree with it, but it's not hot. Like, that's not a hot take. So we're gonna judge each other with each of our takes by how hot it is. And then we're going to judge each other based on whether we agree with it or not. So we do have to go with an agreement or not agreement. So those are our criteria for our hot takes. So not only how hot it is, so there might be a take where you're like, that's not super hot, but I do agree with it. Or, on the inverse, maybe you're like, that's a super hot take, but I don't agree with it. So anyway, all that's to say, that's how we're going to judge it. So I think that's it, right?
Yeah,
like anything else, Cullen, that you can think of? All right. So we're just going to go basically round robin, or however this goes. We're just going to snake it or whatever. And we'd love to hear what you all think is the hottest take, and if you got your own emo hot takes. So who wants to go first?
I'll go first. I'll break the ice here. My hot take, my first one is emo music is not a genre, it's a fan base. Mason, I'm already getting a middle finger? Really? And I'll tell you why. The fans decide what's considered emo music. If you think about it, like Rites of Spring, American Football, My Chemical Romance, and Lil Peep have absolutely nothing in common sonically. But every single one of those, every single fan of those bands would at least in some way consider themselves more than likely emo. So, I mean, you just can't really make the argument that that's not the case, right? I would say also that most of the time, at least in 2000s emo and beyond, aesthetics matter as much, if not more, than the music, oftentimes. And then I also can't think of any other genre that has maintained its base moniker of emo music, for instance, even though it's expanded over tons and tons and tons and tons of genres. Usually, as soon as that sonic quality widens, the actual base moniker just kind of disappears over after a while. But that has not happened with emo. And then my last main argument behind this is think about why people always argue whether such and such band is emo or not. It's an identity. They identify the emotional quality of the music and potentially the aesthetics, and they've attached themselves to the moniker of emo more than they have necessarily the genre per se. So that's why I say that emo music is not a genre, it's a fan base. It's about identity.
I'm going to jump in here right away and say the reason why I flipped you off was this was going to be my first.
That's why I wanted to go first, because I was pretty sure this is going to be along your lines of thinking.
I not only do I think it's a pretty hot take. I don't know if it's the hottest. We'll find out whether or not it's your hottest hot take. But I do think it's pretty hot. But I just absolutely agree with you on this. Literally, what I have in my notes app is emo as a genre doesn't actually exist. It's only a scene. And I don't know if I've said this on the podcast before, but I definitely have had this thought where there almost is maybe no other scene of music, if you will, that has had so much variety in its genres. For example, you think of the quote unquote originators of emo music, emotional hardcore in the Washington D.C. area in the 1980s. If you listen to it, I mean, it does sound like hardcore punk. Maybe there's some maybe less beat down kind of beats, but there is this sort of hardcore element to it. And to think that it's in the same scene as Cullen mentioned, Lil Peep or Dashboard Confessional, that is it clearly is not a genre. It's just clearly not a genre. It is a scene, and there are lots of different genres that encompass that scene.
The
and
identity
so
of it.
I think you're absolutely right, Cullen.
Hard disagree.
All right, let's hear it.
Yep.
So there are many things you guys said that I do agree with, such as Mason, your point was fantastic. Like looking at earlier, like emotional hardcore bands, like some Colin, I think, or one of you mentioned Rites of Spring versus like Dashboard, like obviously sound nothing alike. This is why we have the term waves. Emo has the most distinct waves of any genre of music ever, in my personal opinion. So I think emo is in fact a genre that came from emotional hardcore in the first wave. And now we're literally to the fifth wave. And you can like debate back and forth what's fourth or fifth wave. And that's a conversation I have with my friends all the
Sounds very
time.
distinct.
But like, is Hot Mulligan fourth wave or fifth wave? I say fourth wave because I think we have to go by not just sound, but by years. But to say that it's not a genre, I think is a bad take.
Okay, can I push back on that?
Sure.
I'm going to. I'm not going to even ask for permission. I'm going to. Okay, I get the point of the waves, and like I hear what you're saying there, but like Dashboard came up at the same time that, let's say, Underoath came up. And again, if you don't know anything about what Dashboard looks like, if you don't know anything about what Underoath looks like, if you know nothing about their fan bases, you know like nothing about any of it. You just hear Dashboard for the first time, and then you hear Underoath for the first time. In 2004, you're going to be like, these are entirely separate bands that have nothing to do with one another.
There's
Mason?
And so
no
you
way
would
they
say
can play
they are
same
not the
festival.
same genre. And if you were to say, like, is this the same genre? You would say absolutely not. But because the fact that they both were on Warped Tour, we say they're emo.
This is why we have something called subgenres.
Okay, but pause for a second. Think about the bands themselves. Do any of these bands would they have considered themselves emo themselves? Or is
I
it
think they
the
would have
fan
considered
base
themselves
that
a-
says, no, you're an emo band?
I think that's true for some bands. I do think even Underoath, I think I've even seen them on a podcast somewhat recently saying that they would fit into like a subgenre of emo. And one of my, I don't want to give too much of my takes away, but like Underoath was in like the screamo subgenre. Like Dashboard is in like this acoustic emo subgenre. But it's just like pop music. Do Sam Smith and Chappell Roan sound the same? No, but they're in the subgenre. They're in the umbrella of pop, but they sound
But
different.
pop music
so
is
that is my
literally
rebuttal.
what is popular. That's what pop music is.
Okay, but country music. We can do this with country music.
Thank you,
We go from
Lindsay.
James
Okay,
and
I want
Aldean
Lindsay to talk.
to Wednesday. Like those are like two like crazy like Waxahachie is in the same genre as like fucking Luke Bryant. Like
Thank you.
it's a wide span where you're like, I don't see.
Yeah,
Okay,
but that's
okay.
also defined by its sound first and foremost. As long as you got a little bit of twang to your voice, or you got a violin or a banjo or a steel guitar or a slide guitar, now all of a sudden you're considered country.
And emo is defined more by its content and its lyrics, which is still something to be defined
Yeah,
by.
I think we'll get to that later on. I don't know.
Oh, is that how we got the term of emo? Is that where that comes from? It's crazy.
The
Also,
girls
let
versus
me-
the boys.
I love that.
Point
push out-
taken. Point taken.
I want to also push back on aesthetics because, like, yes, there are aesthetics. I was explaining this to my kid the other day. But, like, the emo aesthetics in the 2000s were not, you're thinking of scene whenever
Right,
you think of that.
right.
Like, because I wore, like, American Eagle flared jeans and, like, a purple hoodie, and I was still a very, like, comfortable.
Yeah, but you
in the
were a
scene.
Christian
Like,
emo.
you
That's
have-
very different.
Okay.
No.
You also have the meme. You
I'm
also
just
have the
playing.
meme of like where it's like Tobey Maguire in Spider-Man. It's like if the bass player looks like this, you're gonna die in the pit because like these guys look like normies. Half the fan base looks like normies. Like
Correct. Yes, Lindsay is right
Yes.
about this. That was one of the most
I'm so
beautiful
right.
things about the scene is like you could dress like you only listened to whatever's on the radio, and then you like are talking about not just Jimmy Eat World, because they obviously had like hella crossover within like the popular culture. I mean, they were on MTV, but you could be talking about like Cap and Jazz or something, but you look like just a random dad off the street. Lindsay's right.
Well,
So is
again,
Meg.
that's where like it feels like it's so different where like you could have a fan of like Cap and Jazz or American football, and that person just literally not only based on what they look like, but what the music they're interested in is so separate from Fall Out Boy or Paramore.
I don't know. Have you heard Old Fall Out Boy? Has a lot of overlap to like Jamie Eat World-esque stuff. It's just more pop punk.
Fair.
Well, I think we're beating this
All
dead
right.
horse. Should we move on to the next one? Oh wait,
Wait, are we supposed to decide if it's a
we
hot
have to
take or
decide if
not?
it's a hot take, right?
I think it's
thi-
pretty hot. I
Yeah.
agree with it.
Yeah.
I think it's so hot.
I agree it's a hot take, and I think it's wrong.
Hot. Yep. That's where I land.
All right. I love the fact that you started off with that one though, Cullen, because it actually really makes us like, all right, what actually is emo?
Yeah. Well, that's always been the
So,
question in the emo world. So
Oh, well, that's that's.
I
what it
agree
is.
with that at least.
All right. Who wants to go next?
all right, Meg.
I don't
Go,
mind.
Meg.
Okay.
All right, Meg.
Okay. Speaking of subgenres, I mentioned this term earlier. I think Mason might have as well. One of the subgenres of emo is screamo. But I think that we need to fully embrace the term scrams and stop being embarrassed about it, because it is the best way to differentiate fully between like mall screamo or pop screamo and the way heavier, basically screaming only screamo, right? And here's my reason. Older bands that were fell under like the screamo genre, like Jerome's Dream and Orchid and Page 99, or even newer bands like Loma Prieta, who I've seen multiple times, Frail Body, and February, who's like just so great. There's like these like girls and they're screaming so intensely and like barely ever singing. They're so intense. They sound nothing like Silverstein or They're Only Chasing Safety era Under Oath or like Seosin, right? Those bands sound wildly different, but the term is used for all of them. And that ends up being wildly confusing and ultimately unhelpful. And when I first heard the term scrams, I have to admit that I think I literally laughed out loud. I was like, what? What is that? Like, I actually didn't learn about it until maybe 5 years ago. But in learning about why that term even came up in the scene in the first place, I think it was a good reason. It was exactly what I'm talking about, to make that distinction. And then that made me realize it's really unhelpful. Because when I was in high school, if someone said that they liked screamo, they weren't talking about Orchid or Saisha, or I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that band name correctly, but they weren't talking about those bands, right? That it's just like emotional music and it's like all this intense screaming over it. They could have been talking about Under Oath or Emery if they were me, or even freaking Hawthorne Heights, right? It's just like emotional music with some screaming in it, right? Emo music with screaming. And so I've seen some people argue that we should just call that genre and those bands pop screamo or mall screamo, and I get that, but no one who listens to those bands, or especially is in those bands, wants to put the term mall in front of their name, like, in front of their genre, right? Because it gives this connotation that it's not to be taken as seriously, like it's not as authentic or as original, and just something that's appealing to the masses, essentially. And while that might actually be the case for like a small percentage of bands from that era, like maybe even Hawthorne Heights, I don't know, there are plenty of like pop screamo or mall screamo bands that are amazing. We all know this, right? We love them. Like, I love Emery. Like, I love that sound. Like, even not as much, but like Anne Boleyn has a little bit of that in it. So many of those bands are creative and unique. And so I argue that we keep the term scrams, get over ourselves about how goofy it sounds, and keep those subgenres more differentiated so we're not constantly confused about what we're talking about.
Yeah, I don't think that's hot at all. I would
Okay.
agree. I would agree.
Cool.
Yeah, I don't think it's an overly hot take, and I do agree with you in the sense that yes, they are like completely different genres, like screamo, or not completely different, but they are different genres between screamo and scrams. Again, my only problem with, and you brought this up, is like it's such a goofy word.
I know.
It's not gonna. I just don't see it catching on. Like scram sounds like a Looney Tunes cartoon, and like to me, when like if somebody were to say like, "Do you listen to scrams?" I would think that like it would be like a subgenre of like ska. Like it doesn't sound anything like the actual sound that it is. So it's like a bad name for it. So I wonder if it's like, yes, I do think there should be a distinction between that type of screamo, mall screamo, or whatever band versus like an orchid. I just don't think screams is a great word for it, and it's just because screams is a silly word.
I mean, I do agree with that. You like it, Lindsay?
It's just such a fun word.
I like it too. I appreciate the word. I don't think it matches, but I think that I also think that it adds a little bit of lightheartedness to something that doesn't need to be very heavy, you know?
Exactly.
I mean,
Yeah.
we're
I mean,
just
people in those
labeling
bands
a genre or a subgenre.
Yeah, it's just a term. And I mean, they're the ones that chose it, whoever that was that decided to say that. Like, they could have said something less weird.
Yeah, that's true.
But they didn't.
That's true.
Big marketing issue on their part. So.
Exactly. So you guys say not a hot take, but at least Cullen and Mason, you two agree. Lindsay, what about you?
I agree.
Yeah, pretty mild, but like the distinction that you're trying to make, I think we all agree with. So
I appreciate you guys saying you agree because I have heard lots of people not agree even a little bit.
wild.
They're like, no, like Mall Screamo co-opted the term Screamo and like we need to just call them out for what they are and it's just appealing to the masses. And I'm like, calm down. Like they're good. It's fine.
The gatekeepers of emo, I'll tell you what.
Yes.
I do think that part of it too is that like screams is not enough of a genre that I've delved into. Like I've been pretty surface deep on it. So like I'm not the type to get pretentious about it. I just think it's a real fun word, so I'm going to say it. Yeah.
Love that.
all right, I'll go next. So Lindsay,
Hi.
you'll be the last, but
bit
remember,
closer.
the last shall be first. So my hot take, and I think this is a pretty hot take to be honest. All right, so we have all seen the copy pasta that is. Emo originated in the 1980s of emotional hardcore in Washington, D.C. My hot take is emo didn't originate with the 1980s emotional hardcore scene in Washington, D.C. That's my hot take.
What?
Pretty
Yes,
hot,
that's my hot
Mace.
take.
All right.
It's pretty hot. It's pretty hot.
I'd love to learn
That's-
more.
Our friendship is on the line right now.
Pretty hot. Okay, here are a few of my reasons, okay? First off, if you were to ask anyone who knows anything about emo, if you were like, what does emo sound like? They're not going to describe anything even remotely close to the emotional hardcore scene of like Rites of Spring. Not even going to sound anywhere close to that, okay? So the fact that that almost none of those bands from that like 1980s scene really sound anything to what we think of as like classic emo music, I think is a huge part of that. My second reason is these bands rejected that label. They thought it was a derogatory label. They absolutely hated that label. And whether or not they should have been labeled that, these 1980s bands hated that label, especially even like early 90s bands. I think even you could even go into like the second wave. A lot of like, I think even there's like an interview of Sunny Day Real Estate rejecting that label. A lot of these early bands really rejected that emo label. And so when we think of a lot of like the emo bands that we think of as the sort of popular classic emo bands, those were the bands that were maybe the first emo bands that started to actually embrace that label to some degree, or at least did not think of it as derogatory. So that's my second reason. My third reason is, to me, like the comparison of like emotional hardcore scene, the emotional hardcore scene of the Washington D.C. area in the 1980s, like originating or like being the like impetus for emo music. It almost feels as like the comparison or the analogy I think of is it's like rugby creating football. Like, yes, there is the like influence, but it doesn't mean that the influence is the same thing as the thing that it influenced. So yes, rugby influenced the creation of American gridiron football, but that doesn't necessarily mean that rugby is gridiron American football, right? So I would say like there is that thing to keep in mind when we think of like emotional hardcore music from the 1980s in Washington, D.C. So anyway, I think the reason why it's become kind of this like copy pasta is I think to some degree we kind of know how like silly and ridiculous that is. So that's my hot take, and those are my reasons.
That is a hot
That's
take.
pretty hot.
And once again, I disagree. I do really though, Mason, I do appreciate you explaining why, in the sense that like just because something influenced something else doesn't mean that that was the necessarily the originator of that particular thing. Like I think that does make sense. But like even though they did use it in a derogatory way, like Ian MacKaye of Embrace, which I mean obviously minor threat, but like he did actually accept that eventually. Like he was like, yeah, so what? Like we're top writing emotional lyrics. What's so wrong with that? You know, like, and I think that his influence amongst others, like they did, I know that they did reject it at first, but eventually it became this thing of like, this is what we feel like writing about within the genre and the sound that we want it to sound like. And so I think that giving homage where it's due, like I do think to say like that's where it started. Again, that's why we have waves. If you look, I mean, same thing with ska. Third wave ska sounds nothing like first wave ska, which is from like Jamaica, and it's like calypso sound, you know? Like they don't, like Fiber and Frenzy and like Real Big Fish don't sound like Desmond Decker. They don't sound the same at all. And so I think again that's why we have waves. I get what you're saying. I think you're wrong.
To back up Mason's claim, and I am not agreeing with Mason, but there is a point to be made here that if it is really truly only about lyrical content, as you claimed earlier, Meg, then why doesn't Joy Division, Love Will Tear Us Apart, or Cyndi Lauper,
Fleetwood Mac is an
After
emo
Time,
band, I guess,
or The Cure's Pictures of You? Like, why don't those songs get credited as being some of the first emo songs?
Well, first of all, I mean, Joy Division and The Cure were not necessarily popular at the exact same time as emotional hardcore in the DC.
Right, but what I'm saying is that there could be a predating pretty easily. I mean,
to be frank, I think Joy Division did influence Rites of Spring and did influence Embrace, but the fact that the term emo came from the term emotional hardcore would have the starting point in that time frame, not predating.
But I thought sonically, it doesn't matter. I thought genre does not necessarily matter.
No, I'm saying sonically it matters a little bit, but not as much as lyrical content. But I'm saying the term emo originated when they talked about emotional hardcore. It did not originate before that. Yeah. So that's why Joy Division, The Cure would not fall into that.
No, I know why they fall into that. But it just feels like...
I'm talking about eras as well. It's not just about lyrical content. It's also
we're not
going
to talk about Taylor Swift. No, we're not talking Taylor Swift on this podcast. All right?
I didn't say that. So nice. I mean, but to be fair, like goth music or like post-punk, like that had its own like dark like aura, you know, about it.
Absolutely.
That was its own thing.
Its own thing, yeah. But
all right, Lindsay, what do you think?
I don't know. I think both teams have good points.
You hope both teams win too?
She's like, I don't want any part of this.
No, I'm trying to think because, like, I don't know. I've read a lot about this art of emo music, but my head right now is full of rocks.
Place for rocks to be.
I know. It's crazy. I just keep finding rocks in there. But yeah, I don't know.
Are you trying to say that you're stoned right now?
No.
That was good. That was a good joke. Maybe it wasn't that good of a joke. No,
you're just firing on all cylinders right now. Yeah.
Dad puns over and over.
Dad puns. I don't know that I really have an opinion either way. I think that, yeah.
Here's what I will say. I like how thoroughly you thought about this, Mason, and I appreciate a lot of the points you made. I just do think that in order to give credit where it's due, where something originated, where a term originated, that would necessitate it being the first wave of that thing, of that genre.
Yeah.
So what I'm maybe arguing for is what is maybe typically categorized as the second wave should actually be the first wave.
Funny that you say that. Maybe 10, 15 years ago, I thought second wave emo was the first wave. I did.
Right.
It wasn't until I got into it. So I see where you're coming from. I just stand where I stand.
Yeah. All right.
You know what? I'm going to go with Meg. I'm going to go with Meg on this one. Just
Hell
for
yeah.
Consistency.
I'm going to say that take is hot as can be, and I don't agree with it. I was just trying to help you out, Mason, because this has clearly become a boys versus girls situation.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see about the next one. Lindsay might not be on my team for the next one.
Hope she derails it. All right, Lindsay, hot take or not, and then do you agree or not?
Yes, it's a hot take. No, I already established I don't agree with you. I agree with Meg and Cullen.
Yeah.
Just at this point, I'm sorry. Not really
Okay.
not any facts to back it up. Just like vibes.
Just vibes.
The vibes are better. The vibes are better on this side. And Red Rovering over there.
And Meg, hot take or not, and then do you agree or not?
Oh, I thought I already said that is a very hot take, and I definitely disagree. While I respect your process.
That's the most important thing for me. You understand the logic. You understand the logic.
I think I do. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, Lindsay.
Okay. This might not be a hot take here, but I know it's a hot take within the emo world because I'm on the emo subreddit. Anyway, I think that we should continue to cancel bands that if their Wikipedia page has a section called accusations, we can just be done with them. It's fine. It's fine. I think that there are too many bands that we kind of just let skate by, and it's like, oh, well, their stuff is good. Like, I'm going for a thread on this one, brand new. I have not had any issue washing my hands of brand new. I really have not. And I just think that there are a lot of bands that we like to keep around. It's like, we don't need to do that. We don't need to give them revenue.
And I don't think we really necessarily need to wait for confirmation all the time.
Yeah.
That's what I always keep hearing. We just got to keep waiting for confirmation that this actually did happen. Not always. Yeah. Sometimes there's just good enough evidence already.
Yeah, and there are a lot of people who will say who will bring up a lot of different things about the brand new specifically, but I just get nervous saying it because there are a lot of people. I'm worried that I'm just gonna get downvoted by saying that alone. But at the same time, if you read about brand new at the time, everything's we hated Jesse Lacey. He was such a dick. And so it's really not hard to go from one side to the next and be like, okay, wait. Okay, we can just be done with this guy. So yeah, that is my hot take.
That is absolutely zero Kelvin. Whatever they call it. Absolute
I
Kelvin.
know.
What is it called? Absolute zero, right? I don't
Something
remember
like
my
that, yeah.
5th grade science. That is as cold
It's really
of a
cold.
take as it can
That's all I
possibly
know.
be,
It's
I
cold.
think. But
Okay.
I do agree 100%.
Yeah, maybe it's not that hot of a take. I'm sorry if I'm not problematic enough for this problematic podcast.
No, mine wasn't.
We need
either.
cancelable takes,
Yeah.
Lindsay. This is the whole point.
I might be the odd one out here.
I was wondering.
Yeah. So, however, okay. I'll give a caveat. My friend and I were literally just texting today because someone in the hardcore scene got accused of some stuff. Someone from the Hard Lore podcast who's in bands that I don't care about, but podcast I think is good. And so it's this immediate reaction of I think that when someone comes with an accusation about something that's happened to them, we absolutely need to take their words at face value, listen to them, believe them, and, hold that, right? Now, obviously, there's always two sides to every story, but to immediately have the reaction well, we don't really know is come on, you don't need to say that. Have empathy, have understanding. That's not what is necessary right now, right? My only pushback to that, and to be honest, I think that Brand New and Jesse Lacey is a good example, especially if you're someone who maybe was in that scene or maybe was treated weird by dudes in emo bands or hardcore bands or whatever. You're I can't listen to this anymore. No one should tell you get over it. No one should tell you it's not that big of a deal. It doesn't matter. Everyone has the right to be I just can't do this anymore. It could be as small as something oh, I had an abusive boyfriend who showed me this band, so I can't listen to this band. Or the vocalist of this band did something that is so egregious that for me and my personal convictions, I can't do it anymore. I don't think that that's lame or stupid or unfair. I think that we all should live by our personal convictions, And if that's the case for those people, that's good. My only pushback on that is the concept, especially as a Christian, like the concept of redemption. There are people in bands currently who are still people listen to and are lauded and are like coming out as like having been very recently shitty people, and those have been pushed aside. But then maybe someone, I mean, Jesse Lacey's the easy example. I'm sure there's others where it's like, okay, these things happened a long time ago. He admittedly was a piece of shit, and absolutely everything that he did was not okay. You know, like fame and power gets to your head, and then you think that you own the world and that you're owed everything and every bit of attention, and that's just disgusting and it's not okay. But like, it's just hard for me when we have these other bands like Red Hot Chili Peppers, or even honestly, as much as I fucking love him, David Bowie. Like, you know, he dated like a 14-year-old, and we're like, yay, David Bowie. I am also a yay David Bowie person.
Good point.
And so I
Very good
think
point.
that it's good. I think we're going in a better direction in these music scenes and in these genres to call out shitty behavior when it's exposed to us. I think that is a good and a positive thing. But I also think there is a balance between like, this person's life deserves to be ruined versus I just can't really listen to them anymore. So that's where I come from. I, you know, had guys talking to me in like the emo and hardcore scene back in the day, and there's a little bit of it that's like, I like this attention, but also you're being weird and creepy, you know. And so there's like that element there too. But I am very not pro canceling someone's life and just like shitting on them for the rest of their life, but I'm also very like okay with people saying I just can't listen to them anymore. So that's my like slight pushback.
That's
I
a
guess.
fair take.
That is a fair news thing. That brings me to my next point. We should cancel the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Lindsay, I love you.
So, okay, so that's exactly where like my mind went when you brought this up, Lindsay. It is there is something that's interesting. Like, first off, I'll say I don't think it's that hot of a take, but that's just like coming from like my own perspective. Like I could see that being like a super hot take. Like you mentioned, like the subreddit for emo is crazy about this. So so maybe it is a hot take, but in my perspective, it's not a hot take. And I do agree with you. Where my mind is going, this really isn't like actually about the take, but there is like this weird double standard within music, where
Yeah.
like, you know, we do see like whether I mean it's clearly debated about like someone like Jesse Lacey, right, where it's debated about whether or not we should listen to Brand New or not. And yet, like, that debate doesn't happen at a super popular level like Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Exactly.
That to me
That's
is like
true.
really interesting. Is the fact that like there is a scene of music that has that debate whether or not we should listen to an artist because of previous shitty behavior, but we don't think about that at super popular level
Very good
artists. Like we're gonna have to do this with like, or maybe this is happening with like Kanye West. But like even so, like that, I don't see that discourse play out in the same way that like that discourse played out with like Jesse Lacey. So anyway,
His
I just
stuff
find
still
that
gets played
interesting.
Yeah, his Kanye's old stuff still gets played, like in supermarkets or like, you know, like at clubs or whatever, you know. And so I think for me, the difference of me being able to be like, can I listen to this? Like, I'm not going to force myself to listen to something that like in my heart it feels icky. Like, why would I do that? There's plenty of good music out there. Don't do that, right? But if it's a band that was really really important to me, and then it comes out that this person was like not great at a certain time, I have a checklist. Did they acknowledge it? Did they take accountability? Did they actively do it? Especially if they started doing that before it became public. For me personally, again, this is the hot take part, that Jesse Lacey checks out with that. So I'm not like an avid listener to Brand New. Like I don't listen to them on like the regular, but like if they come on like my Spotify or something, I'm not gonna be like, oh, I gotta skip it. I understand that I might be like I might be one of the exceptions. I know a lot of people can't do that. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But because of of the timelines of things that happen, I actually can forgive that and move towards redemption. If someone is downplaying like if it was really recent, then I have a way harder time with that.
Now, do we think that, like, you were saying that it happens, like, more so with emo music than do you think because of more, like, increased access to fans? Because, like, I don't know if any other genre had that, but emo music did, where, like, you could,
You
like,
might,
yeah,
yeah, you might be onto something there, actually.
yeah, and, like, I mean, whenever you think about, like, the Rolling Stones were doing, like, really shitty things whenever they were, like, fans who were able to get back there. So, like, I wonder if that's just sort of like where it is with. And like, yeah, and more stories being told about that too, and like more receipts to be had because of online conversations. But
I think
Great.
you're right.
I think it's a great take. I don't know if it's the hottest, but it's a good take and a very necessary.
Clearly, it was hotter than
Yeah.
than maybe it initially sounds like, because
yeah, maybe it's not zero
because
Kelvin after
we spent
all.
we spent a lot of time talking about it, and
True.
there was good
That's right.
arguments on both sides, I think, for it.
I think it was a good thing to bring up, actually.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I appreciate it. All right, Cullen, back to you. Your second hot emo take.
All right. I don't know which one I want to do next, but I'll say this. 2000s emo, I'll say, as an umbrella.
Third wave is what we're
Sure,
saying.
Yeah.
I was about to say that.
I believe that it was the last time the U.S. had a generationally popular semi-countercultural movement. Captured every part of youth culture: fashion, art, language, identity, emotional norms. Unlike any other like guitar-based music really did. Like recently, at least, I should say. I would say that the benefit of the benefit is that like it's almost like kind of like the last moment of shared culture that we've had, right? So like MTV and MySpace and radio play and like youth oriented tours like Warped Tour and stuff like that, they kind of lend to like this shared experience that feels like a bygone era. And I like, as a teacher nowadays, like I think about it, I'm like, you just don't understand what it's like to like something that other people also like. I mean, everything is so siloed, and like the communities are so small now that it feels so different. You had people like Gerard Way and Haley Williams who are like, household names. The parents even knew who they were. And I would say like pretty much all guitar-based music since has felt somewhat archival, where they're just kind of rehashing, a bygone era themselves. So that's my hot take. I'm hoping that's a hot take. I think that it is, because I think you can make a lot of arguments for a lot of different, more modern genres and stuff like that. But I really do think that this is like the last generationally popular semi-youth movement.
I don't know if I think it's a hot take, but Cullen, I could not agree with you more. I have talked about this with friends so many times. I think you worded that so well. I also am a teacher. I've had that exact same thought. I absolutely agree.
Sick.
I would put it on like, if you're hot, the hot spectrum, hot cold spectrum is like, there's like the low part of your knob on your stove, and then you've got the high. I'd put it like at a 6. Like it's like that sort of
high.
like medium high kind of vibe. Like that's like your pan frying like high hot take. So that's where I would put it.
It is fun because if I try to explain this to my students, like they quite frankly just don't get it, right? But
I tried the same thing. You're right.
Like they think that they know what, and I'm not trying to be old man yelling at the clouds, right? But like they think that they know what like a community is and what a movement is, but I don't think that they do.
So maybe the one thing. Oh, go ahead, Lindsay.
No, you can go ahead, and I'll trail on after if you want.
Okay. You added a lot of elements to that take. The one thing that actually caught my ear that I really agree with you, and I think might even be the hotter take, is at least for the foreseeable future, I think emo music, and I think maybe just generally 2000s rock music, but specifically emo music, might be, at least in the foreseeable future, the last time we have popular guitar-driven music.
Yeah, that's kind of part of that whole element.
Yeah, I think that's part of it. But like that to me is like that is like where I'm like, woo, like that could be it could be a really long time until we get like another Foo Fighters or Jimmy Eat World or whatever, super popular, The Killers. Like it's going to take a long time before we get really popular guitar driven rock bands.
If we ever
again.
do, there's no guarantee that we will.
Right.
I don't hear a whole lot of people listening to Tin Pan Alley music anymore, or even jazz or blues for that matter.
Right. So anyway, I think I agree with it, but I don't like think it's the hottest take, but like it's it's like
Medium
hotter.
tier. Okay.
Yeah, I'm with you.
You're saying like the last time we had like a big community like driven movement over a pop culture thing, is that like basically just to make sure I'm getting what you're saying?
Specifically a music thing, yeah, I would say.
I'm gonna make a few people mad. Taylor Swift and the Eras tour. I think that I know you're gonna do that. I know you're gonna do that. But I mean,
we already established we can't talk
like
Taylor Swift on this podcast. But go ahead.
I'm sorry. I'm gonna just keep getting. You can't
go off.
See, that's like one artist, though. I agree. It's like a culturally
that's a cult of personality,
wide phenomenon, but it's right. But it's like one artist, right?
It is one artist, but it also made way for other artists too. Like I don't know if Sabrina Carpenter would be having the moment that she's having had it not been for Taylor Swift. I don't know if, and I don't mean to pit two queens against each other because like there is drama there, but like Olivia Rodrigo, she was driven very much by Taylor Swift as well. Like I think that, I'm going to go feminist on this actually. I think that like whenever movements are like particularly girl driven, they tend to get ignored, but they can be pretty effective. Like, I mean, you had the Barbie movement, like all that, like back whenever the world was a little okay for a hot second. But like, I just think that like I'm not gonna lie, I went to the Eras tour and that was like a very exciting moment. Like you had the movie in the theaters where like people of all ages were going up and they were dancing and like they were like, it was a huge phenomenon. So I don't know. I don't know if it's necessarily the last thing. Like, I think that there are more recent ones, but I do think that it's also very interesting to look at like how, like the younger generation, from what I'm gathering from my 11-year-old, is starting to really latch on to the emo movement as well, which I think is really interesting. Like my kid is getting really into like Paramore and Jimmy Eat World and My Chemical Romance, and all of his friends are too. So like I do think that it is a very lasting one, but I do think that we also have pretty culturally significant things that have happened in the time since.
Your kid might be getting into that because you have a good taste in music.
No, he doesn't. He like the other day, he told me that I don't know emo music, and I'm like, oh boy. Oh no, you did not date emo Chris. You did not know about this.
Yikes. Okay. I agree with the like cultural phenomenon of like the Taylor Swift stuff. I'm just going to play my cards on the table. Like I'm not a Taylor Swift fan. However, I kind of respect and appreciate what she did, like you were talking about, like how it was just really communal and like bringing people together. But I think, Cullen, correct me if I'm wrong, you were talking about like a genre more specifically, and like you were talking about like guitar based music more specifically,
and also like almost like an outcasty countercultural,
it's an
kind of
countercultural. Yeah, that's the right word. Like alternative. Yeah. Okay, an alternative kind of genre. Yeah. And so I was telling my friend this the other day, like I remember being in 8th grade and like a freshman feeling like I had to choose a genre to like fit into like with my listening and my dress. And obviously now I'm like super old and like I don't care, I can dress like Zooey Deschanel one day and like dress like a dude another day. Like it just doesn't matter to me anymore. But when I was younger, I felt this pressure to choose a music genre that was going to be mine and then dress according to that music genre. And it wasn't until I was like a junior when like, Under Oath and Emery and that, like they like blew up, that I looked around and I'm like, oh, like I don't have to worry like necessarily about not fitting in now. Cause like this whole scene thing is like popular. Like this is a thing. Like I'm not going to look weird if I'm dressing in this like way that is in line with this certain genre of music. And so that's why, Cullen, I agree with you, is because I mean, in my tiny Christian high school, there were people dressing scene that now, however many 20 years later, they're like, what an era, like kind of back in the day. Like they liked it for a hot second. They might like some of those bands still, but it was like a cultural phenomenon, it like what permeated through the youth. And so that's why I do agree with you, even though I agree with Lindsay in the sense that like other genres and other artists can have a very like communal cultural element to them. I think as far as like a genre of music, I think that you're right. Like the 2000s third wave emo had this very, very special moment in time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think like, I mean, we think of like the 60s hippie movement, or even like before that, like the 50s kind of like rock and roll kind of movement, and then the 60s hippie movement of music, and then like the 70s like dance music, and obviously then you get into like the rock music of like Queen and Zeppelin, and then the 80s with the hair metal, like
Or even goth. Yeah.
like every decade kind of has like their own distinct genre. What feels, I don't know, like maybe this is where you're getting at, Cullen, but it felt like the third wave, like 2000s emo, like it feels kind of like maybe the last version of that. Like we like won't get that kind of like very distinct scene specific type of music community that we had for all of these decades prior, for 50 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mason, I think that's a fantastic comparison, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, well, again, I don't think it's the hottest take, but I do agree. How about you, you others?
Y'alls.
Y'alls.
I don't know if it's a hot take either, but that's partially because I agree with it. I think that if you were to ask, like people younger than me or my students, like we were talking about, they might disagree, but then I'd be like, well, what's the thing? Like, what's the thing that you're into? Like maybe rap, but then you have a lot of different views on that. So, I think Mason, you said on like a 1 to 10, maybe like a 6. I would say maybe like a 4.
That's right.
But it's a hard agree for me. And I think it's a great point you brought up.
I somewhat agree. I'm gonna rate it as I'm gonna put it a 6 on the hot take scale.
Fair enough.
Yeah, 5.5 to 6.
Nice. But do you agree, or do you disagree?
Partially.
Oh, okay.
Because, I do think that there are other ones that have been significant. And I also, I don't know, in my community, not, the emo kids were kind of the outliers. They were kind of, even if the popular kids were listening to a song or two, they were not going to be at the shows, and they were not going to be, blasting them regularly on their playlists and things like that, too. So I don't know if it's, necessary. I think that we tend to look at it with rose-colored glasses, and we tend to, basically put our own obsession with it onto onto the entire group. But yeah, I don't know. That's where I land.
Sure.
I know we're going around the horn right now, and I don't want to give away my other hot take, but the only thing I'll push back on Lindsay on this one is what other subgenres have an entire communal music night dedicated to that genre?
That's a good point.
We have emo nights. We have some indie dance nights.
You'll have
we don't really have
80s dance parties, right?
Sure. Yeah. But emo specifically, that's the thing that kind of kicked all of those genre-fied dance nights off. It really was those emo nights. Now we have goth nights, and we have all these other things, but yeah.
But isn't that kind of based off of rave culture, which was EDM?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely it is. So, I mean, give credit where it's due for sure. But I just think as far as alternative guitar-based music, most all of the other genre-based nights are more electronic, more pop. But then we have emo nights where they're playing, Paramore.
Yeah.
Great take. Meg,
take.
I don't know if that was an allusion to your next take, but let's hear it.
I was going to save that one for last because the next one that I was going to do was one that will make the two boys mad, probably. Okay. Are you guys ready?
Hit us with it.
Okay. I think that as an emo band, Sunny Day Real Estate specifically is pretty overrated.
Yeah,
Cullen just gets up and leaves.
you two are the new hosts of the podcast. Good luck.
I have so many like specific reasons for this take. I would love. I know,
I'm so ready to debunk every one of your reasons.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, here we go. They are incredible musicians, wonderful songwriters, but compared to some of the other second wave emo stuff coming out around the same time, it is just so uninteresting to me. I would rather listen to Cap'n Jazz or The Promise Ring or Jawbreaker or Braid or like so many other second wave emo bands over and over again than Sunny Day Real Estate. And I'm not even saying that because they're a slower band. Like American football is slow as hell. But it is just, they're just so much more interesting to me. They have just way more unique elements that have, to me, set themselves apart. So that in my mind, like American football is kind of the essence of Midwest emo, where Sunny Day Real Estate is called a Midwest emo band, but they're not even from the Midwest. They're from
Who
Seattle.
calls them a Midwest emo band?
The internet, people that I talk to, I don't know. I mean, Midwest emo is like now become like
dumbest
a
people
fake.
on the internet.
Okay, you're right. Yeah, Midwest emo has now like become like a fake term essentially. But yeah,
Right.
But to me, Sunny Day Real Estate sounds more like a slow rock band, like not a this important quintessential sound of emo. And I'm sure that what I just said is like the most hot take thus far, that like they're not like a quintessential sound of emo. And I get that, but that's my perspective. To me, there's nothing particularly interesting about them, in my opinion, that sets them apart, especially when there's so many more interesting bands and sounds coming out around the same time. Like so many of their songs sound the same and they're so freaking long. Like nearly every single song on Diary, which is like known as like their biggest emo album, they are between 4.5 to 6 minutes long. They have one song that's like 2.5 minutes long, but all of the other songs are 4.5 to 6+ minutes long. Like the song About an Angel, amazing song, genius song. It is 6.5 minutes long. It does not need to be that long. Like even when the distorted guitars come in and like it picks up and he starts kind of like yell singing, it still feels dragging to me. It's just, yeah. I have seen them live twice in the last 1.5 years, and both times I have struggled to stay awake while standing up. And it's not because they're a bad band. I know that they're good. I know objectively that they're good, but so many of their songs sound the same. They're not a very dynamic band, in my opinion. And compared to the other second wave emo coming out at that time, they are overrated, in my opinion. I think there's so many other bands that are so much more interesting, so much more formative. And I know that Sunny Day is influential. I'm glad that they exist, but apparently they're not for me. So that is my take.
This is like the whole thing that like everybody's like, my lobster's too buttery. Like,
No. Like, give me like The Promise Ring and Cap'n Jazz. Like, give me that all day long.
Give me those.
Like,
Give me those
even
as
Mineral,
well. How about? Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
Mineral,
like that's what
even,
it's like we're trying to pit like Mexican food against like Indian food. Like, why are we doing this right now? Like, what can we not just enjoy all of it? Like
we can.
Thai food, Indian food, Mexican food, Italian food, like it's all great. Mediterranean, it's all great. We can all enjoy it. It's lovely.
You asked me to bring hot takes. This is my hot take. I have tried so bad to get into them because I know they're so important and they're so formative and people adore them. I have seen them live twice in the last 1.5 years. I have stood there and been like, these are good songs that blend in and bleed into one another, and I'm about to fall asleep.
Okay. It's a hot take. I'll give you that. It is it's burning the house down kind of take. I will not argue with you on that. It is very hot. Can't disagree with you more than I could. Like I wish I could disagree with you more than I'm already about to like disagree with you. It's just it's just like it's everything you said about why you aren't into them. I'm like, what? Like it's like calling like Tom Brady a like really bad passer. It's like, have you watched the thing happen?
Mason, I've listened
like
to
have
them
you
so
have you
much.
watched Michael Jordan dunk and score a basketball? Like, what are we talking about?
I listen to them so much, trying to be like, what does everyone love about this band? Like, I just can't. I just can't.
And that's fair. Like, there are bands, I think we all can agree on this. There are bands that on paper we should like, and it would make sense for us to like. And for whatever reason, we just can't personally get into them. And that is okay. That doesn't mean we have to discredit them entirely.
Bingo.
My dude, did you not hear my very first thing I said was they are incredible musicians and amazing songwriters.
Yeah, but your take is that they're overrated.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious because the only place you could call them overrated is in a group of other emo fans, because they are so far from a household name. Like, they are so underrated in like the grand scheme of music.
Okay, to be
It's not
fair,
like they're Metallica or something.
when I asked Mason, give me an example of a hot take, he said something like Jimmy Eat World is overrated. And he's like, well, I don't agree with that, but like, that's an example. I was like, okay, cool. I was like, I don't really know if I think there's any bands that are overrated. I got my hot take number 1 and my hot take number 3 done. And I was like, but I'm not sure if these two are actually hot. I was like, I want a hot take. I was talking with a friend and he was like, say the thing you always say to me. I was like, what's that? He's like, that Sunny Day Real Estate is not that good. I was like, I'm going to piss them off. He's like, that's why you should do it.
You did it.
So here we are.
So here's what. Okay, you brought up Diary, and I will say, and this might not be as hot of a take as you mentioned, but I do think maybe a hot take among emo fans would be that Diary is the worst Sunny Day Real
Bingo.
Estate album, and I would agree with that. I do think it's their worst one. It's just not nearly as good as some of their others, but like the fact that you would say that they're overrated, that's like.
Let me
that's
clarify.
bonkers.
Let me clarify. They're overrated, in my opinion, as a second wave emo band. They're so lauded over other bands that I think should be more popular, like Joan of Arc and like Cap and Jazz, like even like The Promise Ring, like even Braid and Mineral is like has some sleepy songs just like Sunny Day, but like even they're a little more dynamic. But Sunny Day Real Estate is constantly talked about.
But
And
you
I'm
just
like,
said
why?
dynamic. Like, there is very few bands that are more dynamic, if we're actually using like the correct word of dynamic,
Okay,
than
let
Sunny
me
Day
clarify.
Real Estate.
When I say dynamic, I don't mean necessarily in like, because they start really slow and then
Yeah.
they build, and I do like that, but the tempo stays almost the same, and amongst their songs the tempos stay the same, especially on Diary. I do appreciate when he gets like heavy with his voice and then the distorted guitars come in. I do appreciate that. But for me, especially since the songs are so dang long, it feels dragging. It's like, why is this still going?
Here's this might actually be a hot take, but I don't think that
Okay.
Sunny Day Real Estate actually falls super neatly into emo.
Oh, I agree with that
I
completely.
think that
Oh,
they
totally.
actually have so much more in common with like the grunge movement
Oh,
than they
full
do
agree
with the
with
emo
that.
movement.
Completely agree,
But the difference is that lyrically,
Mason.
well,
Yeah?
lyrically, grunge is very emo in its lyrics.
Emo. I know. Yeah, Kurt Cobain.
Which is also
Sad
kind of
dude.
strange. Why isn't grunge considered emo?
Why isn't grunge considered the beginning of emo? I don't know, because they didn't use that term.
Or no, not even like the beginning, but just like, why isn't it considered emo as well?
That I'm with you. But Cullen, I give you that. I agree with you. I know you guys love them. I appreciate that. But yeah.
To answer your question, and I think this is exactly why I think Sunny Day Real Estate fits squarely into emo, is Jeremy Enix's voice is squarely an emo sounding voice, like that kind of like raspy, like typically a little bit more falsetto-y
Almost
type
meek.
of tenory type of
Meek,
voice
yeah.
that is whining about whatever thing is going on in his life. Like that is very quintessential emo, whereas like grunge, you get like Pearl Jam going around, and then you just like you don't hear that very often in emo. So I would say like Jeremy Enix's voice is the very reason why you could really pretty much squarely put Sunny Day Real Estate
I would agree
in
with that
emo.
kind of for the most part. But then you look at like a band like Filter, for example. Filter has the exact same qualities as Enix's voice, and they're squarely in the grunge camp.
Wait, who did you just say,
Filter?
Cullen? Oh, I barely know that band, but like if I'm remembering, if they're who I
Like
think you're
Hey
saying
Man,
they
Nice
are,
Shot is like their big song. Yeah.
thank you. Yes, okay, that's what. Yeah, I weirdly agree with both of you on that one, even though you guys like deeply, deeply disagree with me about my take.
We're finding middle ground. That's what we're doing here.
Yeah. You know what? Friendship, conversation,
I love bipartisanship.
Sometimes.
perfect.
Anyway, Lindsay, do you have any thoughts about Sunny Day Real Estate and whether they're overrated, underrated, or just rated?
I think they're perfectly rated. They are a perfectly rated band. One second, let me grab my door.
Nailed it.
Yeah, no. I think that it's very much this is a band that Meg doesn't like, and not this is a band that's not good.
Oh, you are completely correct.
It's just a crazy take. It's like I don't like the Beatles, so man, that band is overrated.
Oh.
I mean, I also kind of think the Beatles are overrated.
No, I
come
can't do
on.
this. I don't have time for this right now.
You're
Okay.
really gonna hurt me.
But
with that.
I think it's more about the fact that I wish that more, in my opinion, unique and interesting sounding second wave emo bands were more household names rather than Sunny Day Real Estate. And by household names, I mean household names within emo people.
Sure. But you don't think like Jawbreaker and Mineral and stuff like that are household names within
I mentioned
the
I was
world?
Okay, fair point. I was mentioning Mineral earlier, but someone else was sharing and I didn't want to interrupt them. Mineral does also have some sleepy songs, but I also saw Mineral live recently and they were just more interesting to me. And when I listened to them, they're just more interesting and more dynamic to me. Probably some of that has to do with tempo, I won't lie. Jawbreaker, I think, is incredibly dynamic. They have some shit songs.
Yeah.
They have some very
They
not
got
good
filler
songs. But
Yeah.
totally filler, yeah. But then they have some songs that to me are like 10 times better than any Sunny Day Real Estate song
Whoa.
ever, even In Circles. Even though I like In Circles, that is the song that everyone likes, and I also like it. But like Jawbreaker, I just think is just a better band. I think they're a more interesting band.
All right. Sounds good.
Well, it is a hot take. Holy cow!
Yeah.
If you can't tell, I think it's hot, and also I completely disagree. Cullen, where are you at?
I think it's the face of the sun hot, and I disagree 100%.
I agree with you on so much, Meg, but not this. Hot take. Hot take.
I knew this would be the one that would make enemies, which is why it's like a compliment sandwich. I put one that you guys would agree with at the beginning, the one you guys would hate in the middle, and then one you will hopefully agree with at the end. So that's what
Hot
I
take,
did.
bad take. All right,
Well,
Mason, do it to it.
My second hot emo take is going to piggyback a little bit off of Cullen. So Cullen, you talked maybe more broadly about how third wave emo is, this maybe kind of last vestige that we have of like a cultural, especially a cultural kind of rock movement that we have, and potentially might be the last that we ever have of that. My hot take, piggybacking off of that, is despite the fact that I agree with you about the impact culturally that third wave emo has had, musically, just strictly musically, I think fourth wave emo was the best wave of emo. So bands like the World's a Beautiful Place, Foxing, that's a little, I'm throwing you a softball, Lindsay.
Sure.
Tiny Moving Parts, a lot of those like Triple Crown record bands, just like Title Fight, a lot of those bands I think they encapsulated so many things that we love about emo and did it in such really interesting and beautiful ways. They clearly did not get nearly as mainstream popular as the third wave emo bands, but I just think that their music is so much better. So my hot take is that fourth wave emo musically has been the best wave of emo.
Mason, I 100% agree with you, except I kind of think that fourth wave is a little bit of a rehashing of second wave.
I think that's true of fifth wave.
I can see that.
Okay. Question for you, Mason.
Answer.
Do you think Hot Mulligan is fourth or fifth wave emo?
So I will say fourth wave
Me too.
in part because I think I think we're still so early on about whether or not fifth wave has actually been created or not. I
Okay.
do hear the arguments for why fifth wave has already emerged, but I do think there's maybe arguments that it's just this continuation of fourth wave. With that said, I do think Hot Mulligan just existed early on enough where they're kind of distinctly fourth wave.
I agree with
Like
you.
a lot of these like what we would call maybe like supposedly fifth wave emo bands, they really started like maybe right before the pandemic or post pandemic, and Hot Mulligan has been around I think considerably longer, at least maybe close to 10 years now, and so I think they existed prior to what we would now even describe as like the fifth wave, if that does exist.
Okay, fully agree with you. And that's why I'm like, I'm not sure I agree with the take fully, but I might. Because I think that fourth wave started bringing back almost like a combination of some of the best of third and the best of second wave. And that's why I
Mm-hmm.
think it's so incredible. I mean, I would consider Modern Baseball as
Yeah.
well a fourth wave emo band.
Yep.
And that's why I try to like, I would break down waves in the era, like in the years. And so I would not agree with you that Title Fight is an emo band. I think they're emo adjacent, but I think they're more like, they're hardcore adjacent, they're shoegaze adjacent. Like there's a reason why everyone loves them. It's because they're hard to nail down. But yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure I agree, but I like what you're saying, and it's something I actually want to chew on because I might actually agree without having known that I agree with it.
I'm just gonna go like based off of like what I personally like listening to, and it's definitely fourth wave. Like, I mean, my love of foxing is cannot be contained. But like, I think that it's a lot more interesting. I think that like a lot of times what people consider like I actually had a take on this that I am canceling right now, but like where I think that we use nostalgia a lot to shade our view of older emo music
Mm.
whenever there's just much more interesting stuff that has come ever since.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Okay, Lindsay, you're spot
Hmm.
on with
Nailed
that.
it.
And that actually helps me figure out if I agree with Mason or not. What you just said
Oh.
is because there was an era of my life. I was not listening to emo or like pop punk. I literally have a Spotify playlist called Neo Emo / newer pop punk because I was having a hard time like identifying these bands that were coming out. And that was stuff like Tiger's Jaw and Hot
There
Mulligan
you go.
and Algernon Cadwallader. I'm like, okay, this sounds like some of the like the second wave emo stuff, but some of it's like pop punk ish. And I was having a hard time identifying that. But I think it's taking a lot of what I love from those genres and blending them together. And so I think that you might be right, Mason. Based on what Lindsay just said, I think I just had like these rose-colored glasses about my third wave emo bands, and then I learned about these bands later on in like 2016 to 2018 that
Mm-hmm.
had started, in the early 2010s in the fourth wave kind of era. And they're phenomenal. They're so
Mm-hmm.
good. Like I love Tiger's Jaw. I love Algernon. I love Modern Baseball. I love Hot Mulligan. And I think those are all fourth wave bands.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you can put like Basement maybe in that like vein as
Oh,
well. And
1000%.
right, and I think like what I think is maybe unfortunate for a lot of these bands, and I think part of the reason why we don't think of them maybe as highly as we should is the fact that just the music industry, and this is no fault to their own, just the music industry alone collapsed at their emergence.
That's true.
Right? Like
Totally.
towards the end, and I think maybe why we can say there's a kind of this distinct line of like when third wave emo ended is because that's kind of around the time that like we have the emergence of streaming and we lose like any sort of physical media, and so much of third wave emo was predicated on physical media, especially obviously
Facts.
CDs and
Yeah.
MP3s. And I
True.
guess MP3 is not physical media, but like that kind of way of acquiring your music, whether it's through illegally downloading or whatever. But then like the emergence of streaming completely kind of killed that part of the industry. and specifically emo. And then we have all these other bands like Foxine, World's Beautiful Place, Modern Baseball, all Basement, all those kind of bands. They come kind of, even if they existed right before the streaming era, like they became more popular during that time frame. And so we just we don't have the luster for them in the way that we do with the third wave.
I think you also have to add in the exposure aspect, because for an emo band nowadays or in the fourth wave to get exposure, it became almost impossible because we don't have that shared cultural identity or shared cultural understanding like we did in the 2000s or in the 90s or in the 80s and so on and so forth. So I think the quality has only gone up as time has gone on, but the exposure has gone significantly down. And streaming's part of that as well, for sure.
Yeah. Mason, I think your point about streaming is spot on. I mean, it took me so long, I sounded like the old grumpy man, like the best bands are the ones that I listened to in high school and college. And then I'm hearing Hot Mulligan. I'm like, where has this been? Like, why did I not hear this? Like from that, like first EP, how do you know it's not Armadillo Shells? I'm like, this is one of the best songs I've ever heard in my entire life. Like, where was this? So I think streaming is a huge part of that. And as we're having this discussion, I'm more and more agreeing with your take, Mason.
That's my hope. All right. So, how hot is it? And do we agree?
I'm going to say it's in emo world, it's probably a 7 or 8 hot take. But I think in general terms, I'm going to say it's a 6.
And it sounds like you agree.
I do agree. Yes.
I think I agree with everything Cullen just said.
I'm going to give it a 6.5 on the hot take scale.
You're just a fence sitter on every single thing tonight. That's my favorite.
Yeah, that's exact. I am here for the
Lindsay,
vibe.
the centrist.
I'm the centrist. Call me like the Pete Buttigieg of this podcast.
I love him.
So does everybody's mom.
Yeah.
My mom, I guarantee you, is not. And I'm certain that Sheila despises Pete Buttigieg.
Everybody but Sheila's. Everybody but the Sheila's out there. Anyway, Sheila's hate me too. But yeah, I'm going to go 6.5. I do agree with it, though.
I would hope so. Because Foxy's, thrown in there. So
yeah, you kind of just like worded it that way.
Yeah, I threw you a bone.
Which is crazy because I probably would have gone along with it anyway.
Yeah. All right, Lindsay, what is your second hot take?
My second hot take is that we should bring back really, really shitty collaborative emo pop punk albums like we had in 2008.
Okay, elaborate.
Okay, oh my god. Did you guys never get into the albums where it was like I forgot, was it the Main or was it Bailey for, not Bailey, that's not his band, Bayless. They did like In Love with a Stripper by Akon.
The best of those all together was Since You've Been Gone by Day to Remember.
Mm-hmm.
Cullen, you're stealing.
Oh, like the punk goes pop?
Emo goes pop. You're talking about like emo goes pop. Cullen, you mentioned something. You're stealing my third take. Lindsay, you mean the emo goes pop compilations.
Yeah, those things. And like they also did hip hop, which was often problematic actually, because I think that like Max Bemis might have said the N-word. So like we shouldn't do that.
I would not put that past Max Bemis, to be fair.
Yeah, go back, cancel him. Anyway, come back here. And so that is mine, is that like we need, and like also on the same note, Snakes on a Plane was magic in a bottle. I'm sorry. I'm the only one brave enough to say that. Snakes on a Plane was a good song. Did you guys never get into Snakes on a Plane?
I love Samuel L. Jackson.
No.
Are you talking about the movie?
No, guys. No.
What is happening?
Did you guys?
Mason looks confused also.
I'm so confused.
You guys are so Christian. Whenever the movie Snakes on a Plane came out, there was a song that there was Cobra Starship, which was like Academy Is, and like just, I forget who all was in it. They did a song called Snakes on a Plane. You guys don't know, Like, I'm sorry, this is mind blowing to me. I don't
We're
even
all
know
shaking.
what to
So damn hip,
I don't know
Lindsay.
what to do with this. No, I wasn't hip is the thing. Like, I don't know what to do with this. You guys never heard this song.
Okay, wait. So circle back. Why did you bring this song up?
Because it was a ton of emo people who, well, like pop punk, but we're gonna go with emo just because, like, as a scene, because emo is just like the fans and not the actual genre. Anyway,
Bingo. That's right.
we're just tying all of it together. This is the actual compilation that I'm writing here. They wrote a song called "Snakes on a Plane" for the movie, where it's so good. I don't even know how to describe it. It's
Okay.
like times are strange. We got a free upgrade for snakes on a plane.
That
Oh my
sounds
God.
super
It's
emo.
so good.
Yeah.
It's so.
I'm gonna have
sorry.
to listen to this after.
I am short circuiting because I cannot believe.
Okay, quick side tangent. Do y'all remember the bad TV edits when they have to like change out like cuss words and stuff like that? My all-time favorite one
absolutely.
is from Snakes on a Plane. And Samuel L. Jackson, he was supposed to say, or in the film, he says, "I've had it with these motherfucking snakes on this motherfucking plane."
And he says it in the song too.
Yeah.
They clip it.
In the TV edit, they change it to, "I've had it with these monkey fighting snakes on this Monday to Friday plane." It's my all-time favorite
my gosh.
TV edit. It's the best.
Oh my goodness. That's so good. Okay, so Lindsay, your take is bring back the emo goes pop or emo goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the actual
pop.
album is called Punk Goes Pop.
There it is. I knew I was saying it wrong.
It's like, yeah, so that's where it exists. Apparently, I should have researched this more, and apparently I should have found out that people did not all universally listen to Snakes on a Plane like 10 times in a row. It's so good. It's so good. They clip the movie in there, like, and then there's like a little rappy bit. It's so good. It's so stupid. It's like one of the songs where you're like, I know I'm going to hate this song whenever I turn like 36.
It
and I'm
just
36
sounds
years
like
old
very
and I don't
early
hate it.
YouTube.
Yeah.
That's what it was, and it was fantastic. And I think that society was better when we did that. Like, when we did that as a society, we got rid of George W. Bush shortly later. Like, that couldn't have happened had we not done Pop Goes Punk, and had we not done Snakes on a Plane. Like, that's what ushered that in.
I'm going to say this.
That's a problematic take, actually.
Lindsay,
Yeah.
I love you, but I disagree. I think that this is one of those things that is better left in the past. And I'm only going to say that because everybody tried doing it then. Because everybody was looking for... I think this is actually one of those things that actually helped kill emo, punk, and even like the metalcore genres. Because it became like this chintzy way to commercialize a tune.
Like a gimmick.
Thing, yeah. And you know where I actually think it started? I think it started with Alien Ant Farm Smooth Criminal.
That's such a good
It's
cover,
a fantastic
though.
cover.
So good.
And so is A Day to Remember's Since You've Been Gone. And there's a bunch of good tunes on there. But now everybody all of a sudden tried to do the exact same thing. They tried to have their big moment. Like, I remember every single band that was coming out at the time was trying to do a Lady Gaga cover or some
Further
piece.
Seems Forever, their biggest song on Spotify to this day is "I Want It
And
That Way."
that's a tragedy.
Or no, sorry, it's "Bye Bye Bye."
Yep.
That's
That's a
depressing.
So,
It
Lindsay,
is.
I am fully disagreeing with you.
I think it's just crazy to find out that, like, I feel like I've known you, and I just find out that you hate unity and you hate fun, and that's crazy. That's so crazy.
I'm dead.
Like, I'm sorry, it might be cheesy. It's so cheesy. But are you going to have a bad time as you sing along to that at a concert? You're not going to. You're going to be having the time of your life. That's why whenever, like, did you know that this year that Drake released the song Hotline Bling, Sufjan Stevens performed that song more than him during the Carrie and Lowell tour? During the
Lindsay,
Carrie and Lowell tour.
I love
People
that you
are
know
crying.
that.
Like, people were crying over his mother, and then all of a sudden he brings out Hotline Bling. And you
Yep.
know what? For a second, we could sit there and mourn with this man, but also have a really good time because he knew how to expertly drop a cover. You just got to know how to expertly do that.
Yeah.
And I think that people during that era, they knew how to do that, except for Max Bemis. Max Bemis is canceled, but the rest of
Yeah.
them,
Okay,
fine.
so
He's canceled for other
I'll,
reasons.
I'll make a little disclaimer. I am not against covers whatsoever,
No, that's so crazy because you feel like you are.
but I'm against these chintzy covers where we're just chasing clicks and plays and stuff
Okay.
like that.
I want to
Go
say
ahead.
something.
They're like only chasing safety. Go ahead.
Wait, what?
Like they're only chasing safety, like the safety of the numbers from the stream. It made a lot of sense in my head. I'm like, oh, that's a good one. Drop that on everybody. But apparently not.
It went whoosh over my head. I was like, you are not hitting on that. Okay, two things. One, Lindsay, I love that you know that statistic that Sufjan did Hotline Bling more than Drake at his tours. That's amazing. I'm also a little bit jealous that when I saw Sufjan, he didn't do it. So that's
I
another
feel
story.
really
Neither.
confident that the only person that was actually counting was also Lindsay.
No. Setlist.com. Setlist.com has it all.
It's a banger.
Nice.
My second response is that I feel torn between what Cullen is saying and what Lindsay is saying. I love a good cover, fully. Come on, Eileen. Save Ferris cover, Real Big Fish cover, and Take on Me. Like, there's just been so. I mean, I was introduced to Electric Light Orchestra by Five Iron Frenzy. Like, and I love a good cover. But I do agree to some extent that it became a cash grab, and it became just this thing that made like the emo genre and its subgenres kind of a joke, and a lot of people were just like, what is this? Like, they're not good enough to do their own songs, they're just covering these popular songs. At the same time, it might have also given exposure to some of those bands. Where like, I like this Kelly Clarkson song. Oh, like there's some yelling in it. That makes me feel cool and edgy. Let me listen to this band. And then they get exposed, to A Day to Remember or whatever other adjacent band. So I feel extremely torn on this one, to be honest. I think it is a mildly hot take because I don't know how many people would agree with it. And I don't even know if I agree with it. Yeah, I don't even know if I agree with it. I mean, I think covers are cool. Not sure we need the compilations. Yeah, that's where I stand.
Yeah.
I think it's probably pretty unlikely that somebody listened to the Kelly Clarkson cover from A Day to Remember and was like, I'm going to try to get into their music. Like, I think that's unlikely. I'm not saying that never happened. I'm just saying it's unlikely. Or there were very few. In terms of like the return on investment for that, probably is pretty low. However, what I will say is, I think of like, some of these bands and I'm like, they clearly, like when they're on tour and they're listening to whatever from getting from one town to the other, and they're probably listening to Kelly Clarkson or they're listening to Drake or they're listening to whatever. And they're probably thinking like, what would like our version of that be? Like, I can't imagine, like, that's got to be just a fun thing to do. And I like, embrace the cringe of that. Like, I think that's kind of cool.
Oh, it's cringy.
yeah.
Let me be clear. It's very cringy.
And so, yeah, I think I agree with you, Lindsay. I think we should
you.
bring it back. I don't know if we should go as far as bringing it back to, like, we should create these compilations and make this a cash grab. I do think the critiques Cullen and Meg are making are pretty good about that. However, if, like, if I'm trying to think, like if Origami Angel wants to do some, like, cool emo riff off of, like, some, I don't know,
Chapel Roan.
Like a Chapel. Yeah, that's a great. Yeah, like a Chapel Roan song. Like any emo band should be able to do like a Chapel Roan song, and that'd be fun right now, I think. So
Let me just also push back a little bit against that. It's impossible to do cash grab in music right now, so it's safe.
there
There's
you
no
go.
cash to be made in music, so it's fine.
There you
Let's
go.
just cheapen the art. No big
Point
deal.
made. Here, I will say, in terms of the hot take scale, I think it's like a 6.5, like you would maybe put it, Lindsay.
Yeah.
So I agree with it. It sounds like Cullen disagrees with it, but I would put it in the 6.5 range. Like, it's pretty hot, but like not the hottest. But I happen to agree with it.
I will say, the Anne Boleyn had a B-sides album. Then that's how I got into like bands like The Cure and stuff. Is because they just covered these songs and they did it terribly. but they still did it, and it like exposed me to songs I wouldn't have otherwise. Yeah, so it's like
See?
beneficial.
There you go.
See, I thought you were going to like a totally different, like when you first said it, I thought you were saying that there were like bands that were doing like collaborations with each other. So
Oh, but
I
that's
was
what
like
Stakes on a
totally
Playlist.
thrown. But then once you started bringing up like the punk goes pop stuff, I'm like, oh, I've had the same thought too. We should totally bring this back.
Yeah, so it was like two. Like we should do the collaborations, and we should also do the like, yeah, those sort of albums. But
Good take. All right, Cullen, I think we're back
Okay.
to you on our last.
This is going to be
round of
pretty
hot
hot,
takes.
I think.
Oh,
Third wave emo is, at its essence, more authentic than first or second wave emo. And I'm going to say this because 80s and 90s emo, first and second wave emo, was coded and covert and in its rawness. It was still raw, right? But it was covert. They were not saying the things that they actually mean out loud for a general audience. And I would say also, like, you know, obviously third wave emo is much more commercially successful. But commercial success does not mean that you have sold out. And it also does not mean that it can't be authentic. I don't think any of us would say that The Middle by Jimmy Eat World is an inauthentic song just because it made a bunch of money or because it became very popular. And I also say...
Or because Mason sings it every time he's at karaoke.
Well, yeah, Mason sings that every time at karaoke. And I'll also say this. I also think that the third wave emo allowed a general population of music listening men and boys to explore emotional literacy in a way that was not as risky. That's my main argument with that.
I agree with that last point entirely. I really think that once we stopped like letting me like once we gave, no offense to you guys, but once we gave men podcasts instead of guitars, bad things started happening.
hell yeah. Good take, Lindsay.
Thank you. No offense.
No offense
Thanks
to
for
you
having
two.
us on.
It's not wrong.
I'm just,
I didn't hear what you said, Lindsay. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm with Lindsay. The last thing you said, I agree fully. I think that I remember a mutual friend of Lindsay and I's like made, I think she's a mutual friend of yours, made some comment about like, who do men have that, you know, women have Taylor Swift, who do men have? And there was lots of people in the comments that correctly said emo, hardcore, punk, like, you know, that's what the guys have, like, to express their emotions, depending on the band, depending on the song, you know. I am not sure I agree with you that it's the most authentic.
I didn't say it was the most authentic. I think it's more authentic than first and second.
Okay.
Also wrong.
Yeah.
Sure. Compared to first and second, I'm still not sure I agree with you. Being the only reason is because third wave was definitively the most commercial that emo has ever been. And so there were a lot of bands that came out of third wave emo that were, what's the word? Like, they were corporate. They just were. Like, I can't say this with like authority, but like Hawthorne Heights felt that way to me. You know, I remember hearing them on the radio and being like, what is this? Like, this is just a copy of the bands that I'm listening to. It didn't seem like super good. Now I can say that it's catchy. I can say that it's good. And maybe it was authentic, but the sound just seemed like there were bands that were just constantly trying to sound like bands that did that first. And I know everyone's influenced by everyone else, but I think the commercialization of third wave emo became slightly problematic. It doesn't mean we need to write off all of third wave emo. Clearly I don't. I go to emo nights. I love those bands. I have went and seen many third wave emo bands and paid way too much money to do that. But I'm not sure I agree with it that it's more authentic than first and second wave. And specifically because third wave emo bands definitively were making more money than first and second wave. And you have to really believe in the thing that you're doing if you're not making money off of it. And so that's why I think I might push back on that take.
Along those lines, in terms of specifically lyrical authenticity, I would say I disagree with you, Cullen, at least on that part of the take. Because you mentioned like some sort of like, it was like more covert in the first and second waves or whatever. I think that was just because like those artists were just like more lyrically gifted. Like they were better artists. They were more poetic. And a lot of times like when you have really poetic lyrics, it's going to feel more covert. Whereas I do think because of the how much infiltration and how much saturation there was in third wave emo, you just got maybe I wouldn't call it cheesier lyrics, but you just got like maybe less refined, less sophisticated lyrics that didn't feel as covert, and therefore it felt like way more outward about like what the emotional landscape of that person that was writing the lyrics was, rather than the 1980s like super underground dude or Jeremy Enoch or whatever. It's going to be more covert because those are like super poetic
I'm gonna
dudes.
push back on that big time, and I'll push back on that, and I'll just
All right,
say,
love to
just
hear
go
it.
listen to My Chemical Romance. They are getting their point across in a very, very poetic way, while also maintaining this ultra wide crowd appeal. Right. Again, I don't think that commercialization really has anything to do with it. And I really do believe that. I mean, I know you're not a Beatles fan there, Meg, but when the Beatles started talking about their own personal lives and the struggles of the world instead of just talking about love the entire time, all of a sudden they gained a completely different crowd that started listening to them. They did not have to use flowery language. And I'm not trying to use the Beatles for necessarily a comparison per se, but what I am trying to say is that you don't need to be flowery with your language in order to get across the most important points that you're trying to get across. If you're trying to get across these super emotional topics, you might as well speak plainly and be raw.
I hate that I agree with both of you. Mason, I think that you explained that so wonderfully. Like I just absolutely agree, but I still stand by what I said, that as far as authenticity, when someone is being fully authentic, to me, that means that it does not matter who is listening to you, how popular you are, and what money you're making. You're like, this is what I have to give this as an output. I feel these things inside of me. I have to write them down. I have to put them out into the world. It does not matter the commercial success or any of that stuff. And because third wave emo became such a cultural phenomenon, you had people that attached themselves to it and did give output that was not as authentic. I am not saying, Cullen, that there are not authentic third wave emo bands. Obviously, I agree with you in those. I mean, even like something, a band like Panic at the Disco, like their lyrics, they were quoting Chuck Palahniuk like all over the place. Like their song titles are referencing his books. And they're brilliant and they're super poppy and they became super popular. But their songwriting was incredible. I mean, that's why I love that first album. Don't like their later stuff, love the first album. So that's why I'm really torn on this one, because I think I agree with both of you, but I don't agree with the actual take that is more authentic than first and second wave. Okay, I'll shut up now. Lindsay was going to say something.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I don't think it's better than that. Like than the first or second wave. Like this might be a pretty controversial take, but I really think that one of the worst emo lyrics that has ever been put out there is, and I will sing along to it, don't get me wrong, but cut my wrist and black my eyes. Like, I just...
Agreed.
Like, they really, like, were just like, you know what? We're going for it. We're just gonna, like... And I just feel like it just... Even at the time, it's like, this feels so ham-fisted. And, like, it was a hugely important lyric because that was a very defining lyric of the time. But, like, at the same time, it's like, just like, we're just going to put everything into a lyric. And, like, you don't need it to be super flowery. But even if you're talking about the Beatles, like, on the same album where the Beatles were doing, like, While My Guitar Gently Weeps, they had a song called Rocky Raccoon about, like, a little cowboy who's, like, going around and, like... Like,
oh, Lindsay, yes.
I don't know. I don't think that like you don't need it to be super flowery, but at the same time, it really did just feel like this is what's going to get us money. And like, there are a lot of bands that we look back on and we're like, yeah, these are the greats, but there were a lot of bands that we don't remember because like they were just going with what else would like what shirts would put them on the like wall of Hot Topic. and that was it.
Or we do remember them, Lindsay, because they
Mm-hmm.
had the one hit that was trying to attach itself to a cultural moment. Like the lyrics that you brought up are a perfect example of that. I heard it on the radio and my mom was like, "Isn't this the kind of music you like?" And I was like, "Ew, no." Like, yes, but no.
I will say that I
There's a
like
really
first and second wave emo far better than third wave. But I do think that third wave was just more authentic in its presentation to a wider audience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A presentation to a wider audience, yeah, but authenticity, nah.
Well,
I just
I
think
don't
a
even
lot
believe
about
you
the
believe that, Cullen.
what? Why would I say it if I didn't
Called
believe
out.
You say a lot of shit, so I just figured you don't.
Anyway, Lindsay, I think you explained that really well and I agree with you.
Thank you. Like, there's like a lyric that Haley Williams recently dropped where it's like, I got married in combat boots and I only listened to testosterone music. And I think that's like a really good line to like reconceptualize and look back on the scene and be like, this is not something that was what the artist felt was very authentic.
Okay.
All right,
Somebody
so
just asked me, I was really pressed.
it sounds like we all disagree. Am I right about that?
Uh-huh.
In terms of hotness of the take, I would say it seems pretty hot. Like I think maybe the general, like if somebody who wasn't really ever into music, but they grew up as a millennial and they knew about emo music, they would maybe say that maybe that's not a very hot take or whatever. But I think among people who are familiar with the different waves of emo, this probably is one of the hotter takes.
Cullen, I'm going to give that a 7.6.
Like
I was
Pitchfork.
looking for that 7.61.
Yeah, I think I think Mason, Lindsay, and I all don't quite agree with you, but I think it's like a 7 to 8 on the hot scale as well.
There we go. All right, Meg, I think you're up with your last hot take.
Okay. It is interesting that we were just all pushing back on Cullen's take because I'm also about to talk about third wave emo a little bit. Hopefully this isn't like a super hot take, but according to people on the internet it is. Emo nights, I have mentioned already. I strongly believe that emo nights are generally fun, not lame, and are not only for people who don't know what real emo is. And this hot take might just be me verbally responding to a lot of the comments I've seen on Reddit or Instagram, but oh my God, I'm so tired of seeing them. Like a few months ago, I literally saw 3 of these kind of comments on different subreddits within 3 weeks. Like, I was so frustrated. I actually, when I was preparing for this, I went back into my Reddit history to find one so I can read it word for word. Someone said, emo night is a soulless cash grab for people that only know the hits of emo songs but don't want to see those bands live for whatever reason. So obviously I was like, what? And then there were other comments on that about the kind of people who go to emo nights are the kind of people who refuse to go to local shows and rarely, if ever, pay to see the bands that are even played at emo nights. So I was just flabbergasted knowing how wildly inaccurate that is, at least for me and my friends. So I, because I'm crazy, went back and counted. I went to 43 shows in 2024, which I understand is kind of insane. One of those was an emo night. And most of those shows were local, hardcore punk, emo, etc. bands. But a handful of them were also bands you'd hear like at an emo night. Like I saw Jamie Eat World, for example. I completely get the complaint that emo nights don't play a lot of actual emo, or especially newer emo. That's fair, but I think the rhetoric of they shouldn't call themselves an emo night is just nitpicky and pretentious. Like Taking Back Sunday, The Used, and as we've already said, My Chemical Romance, they are third wave emo, and they are always played at emo nights. You don't have to like that specific third wave emo sound, but to whine that it's not real emo is like the freaking copy pasta Reddit thing that we know from forever ago. It's just embarrassing to be that like pretentious and gatekeepy. And so that being said, I do and will still continue to make jokes about like Papa Roach and System of a Down getting played at emo nights. You know, I literally like will record it being like, oh yes, System of a Down, my favorite emo band. And, you know, even there was one emo night I went to that played Kelly Clarkson, you know, like they played Since You've Been Gone. Not the Day to Remember cover of Since You've Been Gone, but the actual Kelly Clarkson version of it. But it doesn't really bother me that much, you know, like people are having fun and fun is generally good. And plus most of the bands that are played at those emo nights are at least emo adjacent, and the rest of them are just like millennial alt bangers, you know? And I will gladly, happily rap every word to In the End with my friends and have a great time doing so. And then I'll pop off when they play Newfound Glory, who I'm fully aware is not emo. They're pop punk. But again, I do not care. And so the point is, like, if I want to go to some place to dance with my friends, get a couple drinks, have good vibes, I'd so much rather go to a space that's playing music I actually liked in high school and even still like today, instead of a club where they're playing top 40 music, most of which I wasn't allowed to listen to in high school because of the lyrical content, you know? Like, even when they play Panic at the Disco at emo nights, I still don't say goddamn, because I learned to not say that. I trained myself not to say that. Like a white person should train themselves. I would no. I would say like blank damn, like on the edited version. Like I would literally not say it. You know, like a white person should train themselves not to say the N-word. Like I literally did that. Like at these things. And so my point is that like gatekeeping emo nights and saying they shouldn't call themselves emo nights is like so stupid and so lame. They do play emo and they play emo adjacent stuff, and who cares? It's great to have that communal aspect. My only gripe with emo nights, and I'm pretty sure it's the actually only one, is that I wish they played some newer emo and emo adjacent music. And I do get, like we've talked about, one of the draws of these emo nights, one of the massive parts of it is the nostalgia factor. But when I'm at an emo night and I hear Hot Mulligan or The Story So Far, or even freaking Knocked Loose, who is definitively not emo, getting played, like I get so excited because here I am at this venue or bar or club, and on the speakers is playing music that I listen to on a regular basis. And that's always just going to feel cool to me, even if I have to hear Avril Lavigne or 303, you know, in between. Like it's fine. It's worth it. So that is my hot take. Emo nights are great. Go to them. It doesn't mean that you won't go support local shows.
I like emo nights. I don't love them, mainly just because I've heard too much like Miley Cyrus and other really out of left field stuff at them.
I've never heard Miley Cyrus at one, but that's crazy.
Actually, the one that Mason and I were at before Furnace Fest a couple years ago, they played Party in the USA and things like that, and I'm just like, all right, I'm not into this. This really killed the vibe for me, you know?
That's fair.
What really makes it fun is live karaoke, like live band karaoke emo night. That is the most fun I've ever had.
You mean when they have a live band doing cover songs?
Yeah, but then like people from the crowd like sign up to do karaoke while the band is doing it. It's so much fun.
I have heard of those, Cullen. I have wanted to go to them so badly. I've never been to one. They're good?
They're the best. Sweet. I've never had so much fun.
Okay, good to know. I'll put it on my to-do list.
Yeah, it's a way to go.
It's a quick way to lose your voice.
If they all turned into that, it would be so much more enjoyable because there's like this, there's not like a disconnection between the music. Like you're there to listen and to jam out to the music. And if the person who's singing isn't that good, who cares? We're all doing it together. It makes it so much more fun. And they have all the lyrics ready to go for you. Yeah. So you don't have to like, you know, go look them up or something like that. That makes it so much more fun.
Does it feel more like communal that way?
Way more communal. Yeah.
Cool.
So if it was more along those lines, I would be going to every single one.
Okay.
I think I probably generally agree with you. The only thing I want to riff off of your take is you were talking about sort of how disgruntled you are when, you know, System of a Down gets played or Newfound Glory or whatever. And it's not to say that we like don't enjoy those bands and enjoy those songs. We all do. But you know, there's kind of this like, this isn't really emo. What this is making me think though is there is something, and this I think kind of goes along maybe Cullen's take from like a take or two ago, is there's something to be said about whatever reason in the general ether of American pop culture, of especially millennial pop culture, just anything with a guitar in the 2000s was almost considered emo. Like it didn't matter if it was Blink-182, System of a Down, or Miley Cyrus. Like if there was a guitar playing, it was just seen as like emo, or at least now we think of it as like, well, that must have been emo. And it's so funny that like that's how we remember it, or that other people would remember it that way. Anyway, I just was thinking about that.
Is that why Machine Gun Kelly picked up a guitar?
A razor blade guitar.
Yeah. Well, Mason, maybe I explained it poorly, but I was actually saying the opposite. I was saying I actually don't care at all that they do play Newfound Glory. Like they do play non-emo. I love Newfound Glory. I love the story so far. Like if they're playing those bands at emo nights, they're adjacent enough that I love it. I was making fun of more like Papa Roach and System of a Down. They're not emo, but you're right. Even those bands, even though they're not as adjacent as Newfound Glory so far, they're like still millennial alt bangers that like when they get played, I'm gonna be like, hell yeah, it's fine.
But isn't it funny that like almost anything that we would consider like a millennial alt banger is just now sort of seen as like that was an emo band, or that would like you were emo if you listened to that. Like so many people, like if you just enjoyed Mr. Brightside, now you're seen as like, well, I grew up emo or whatever. And it was like, what? That Mr. Brightside, that's all it took for you to become emo, was you just enjoyed that song?
Yeah, I know. I think that's what my high school students think.
They do. For real, they do. I played Toxicity the other day, and my students are like, were you an emo? Like, this is not emo. They're like, yeah, it is.
Wait, Cullen, what did you play? I missed that.
Toxicity.
I played them American football yesterday. Just because we were doing work, and I was like, I feel like I can get away with this. It's slow enough.
Yeah.
I just did.
Yeah. Yeah, you can definitely do that.
Not the hottest of takes, but I think I agree.
Okay. Lindsay?
I mean, I've honestly never been to an emo night, if I'm being real honest here. But like with the whole like, oh, you could just go see the concert, like the band in concert. Half of these bands are not capable of performing anymore. Like
Taking Back Sunday. Taking Back Sunday, can't sing Taking Back Sunday. Yeah, no. Lindsay, I do think you would love, you specifically, I do think you would enjoy it.
I think I would have the time of my life. I haven't. Like, I mean, 3 kids is hard. I just never leave the house anymore. This is like, just stationed here all the time. Yeah.
Okay.
That's the true emo experience.
That is. I
Alone,
just live in my basement. I'm alone, playing
screaming.
Sims, listening to music. I'm like 16 again.
To be honest, you probably listen to a lot more music than I do these days.
All right. I think it's my turn, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna. We'll do maybe quick honorable mentions at the end, because I'm gonna do an audible right in this moment. In part because Meg, you had a very hot take of an overrated band, so I'm gonna do potentially a hot take of a very underrated band in emo.
Ooh.
Okay. I'm going to say the Appleseed Cast is the most underrated emo band of all time, and I would go as far to say it's like not even close. Like I don't even think there's other bands that are even remotely close to being as underrated as the Appleseed Cast. So that is, and I don't know if I want to give more reason other than the fact that like they clearly what's interesting about the Appleseed Cast, they almost started out like, if you listen to a lot of their early stuff, it was kind of like a punk vibe, like very fast type of songs, kind of punk riffs, and then they like clearly morphed into almost like this post-rock type of band.
Radiohead,
and again,
cover band basically now.
Right, and it's just like it's amazing. And then even with their like most recent album with kind of this like electronic vibe going on, like they've been able to cover or like kind of put, like, they're able to like kind of put their hand on like so many different types of like alternative genres. I just think they're incredibly underrated. I mean, if you go on like their Spotify right now, like it might be 20, maybe 30,000 monthly listeners, and I genuinely am like shocked by that every time I listen to them, because they're so good. They have enough discography where you would think that they would be more well known. They're just one of those bands that are just criminally underrated, I think, just in general, but certainly the most underrated emo band of all time.
I wholeheartedly agree, and they're amazing live.
So good live.
I don't think that's a very hot take, though, Mason.
What? Okay.
I was telling a friend earlier today, I am the kind of person that if I have a strong opinion, I will die on that hill, even if it makes enemies, which I hope the two of you are still friends with me after this podcast.
We'll see.
But if I don't know something, I have no qualms saying, I don't know. I have not listened to the Appleseed cast enough. I think I've heard a few songs when I was in college. I don't know why they missed me, and that might be proving your point, Mason. That I didn't have friends that were like, "Oh, you like this band? Listen to the Appleseed cast." You know, like that's a lot of times how we hear about music. It's just like the adjacent thing. I mean, I listened to Norma Jean, and there's this guy yelling along in this song, and someone's like, "Oh, that's the guy from Me Without You," and I'm like, "What?" And that's how I, got into Me Without You. And I just don't think that I listen to them enough to even know whether or not I can agree with you. So I'm just going to agree with you because you know more about this than me.
What's interesting is Appleseed Cast is actually such an important band to me, Mason, that I remember where I was when I sent you the video.
And I remember you sending me that video, and that's how I discovered them.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's cool, though.
I was hiding in boxes at Lowe's because I worked at Lowe's, and I was like, I just want a break. And I was like, oh, look at this. Mason's got to hear this.
That's cute.
It was sick.
Yeah. It was super cute.
They're truly incredible. I'm telling you, like anybody who has not listened to Appleseed Cast, and you're just gonna listen to again, like you can kind of go to any part of their discography, and you're gonna be like, how have I not heard of this before? Because it's 100%. So quintessentially emo in so many different ways. Like there's a whole breakup album. Two Conversations is a whole breakup album. I mean, it's just like everything about them is so quintessentially emo from their early stuff to even their newer stuff. And you're going to be like, how did I miss them if you don't know of them yet? It's just crazy.
I bet Lindsay has listened to them
yet.
You got nothing, Lindsay?
I've never listened to them.
What?
So, like, I guess that I'm here to prove your point. I know, but like they're being that like I don't know, they missed me, and so yeah, there's to prove your point. I suppose I think that they're a criminally underrated band because I have never listened to them.
That is wild to me that neither. Of
I
you
know. Maybe it's only for the guys. Maybe that's the issue.
No, it's definitely not only for the guys.
So. No, it's a sexism thing. It's a sexism thing.
We'll go with it.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to say what is and it is not misogyny right now.
Yeah. Yep.
Make a judgment before you've ever even listened to them. That makes sense. Yeah.
I think it was Spotify being misogynistic that they wouldn't put them in your feed because they were like, this is a boy band.
I've canceled Spotify.
It was Apple Music that was misogynistic that they wouldn't put you.
I only use the underground French apps that I don't know how to say.
LimeWire? Lemono?
No, it's Lemoya. Kabuzz.
What is it?
What?
Kabuzz?
Kabuzz?
You guys.
You mean Kazaa?
No, Qobuz.
Never heard of that.
That sounds like a strange cocktail you get at a...
It's not. It's literally.
Can I get a Kabuzz?
I can't believe you guys. Yeah, see, look, it's literally. I don't know how to like show it, but it's a French app, and it gives the artist the highest amount of streams. And the audio quality is incredible, and the discography is fantastic. Let me see.
What's the subscription payment?
It's actually less than Spotify, I think.
What?
It's
That's
a
weird.
really good app.
Are there just like very few artists on it, or what?
No, here's Appleseed Cast right now. I got them.
Go to Blindside. Do they have Blindside's discography?
Oh my God, Colin, you think they're not going to have Blindside?
Dude,
come on.
Almost no one has Blindside.
Spotify.
They have like 2 albums.
Blindside.
Okay,
they're like missing.
Do they have all the Blindside albums? Is what I'm saying.
I don't know.
We're testing.
Do they have a thought crush my mind?
Oh my gosh.
1 second.
I think the thing with that though, Cullen, is if it's
they
not
do
on
not.
one, it's probably not going to be on any of them.
Okay.
No, they do.
Wait,
They do have it. They do have it. Oh my God.
I'm telling you. The only thing I found missing, there's a PD album that's missing. There's a Pretty Girls Make Graves album that's missing.
Also,
like you can like get around it. But like
Sounds
it's,
very anti-American.
okay. They
Fucking
don't run
French.
ice ads.
They won't have PDUSA on there? Are you kidding me?
They don't.
it's the USA.
Yeah, it's an amazing app. It's like really high quality. I'm just telling you guys. They have
don't make it
Cocomelon.
calm.
You guys want some Cocomelon?
Amazing.
Got it.
Okay,
Sorry,
circle
this
back.
was such a tangent.
So,
But they have Appleseed, guys.
Mason, to conclude, it seems like the fact that me and Lindsay can't even determine whether we agree with you or not proves your point.
Yeah, criminally underrated. Criminally underrated.
It is pretty criminal.
Yeah, it's because again, like it's not as if they haven't had they only had one album. It's not like if let's say like American football like just released the one album or whatever, like whatever. I would get why they're underrated, but it's because they only had one album. But the fact that Appleseed Cast has maybe 8 albums out over almost 30 years of being a band, it's just crazy.
Yeah.
For sure.
Got a lot of albums, according to this one.
Yeah. They have no shortage of. I mean, they almost probably have the same output as like Norma Jean. So if you're like a metal fan and you haven't heard Norma Jean, like it would be like, how have you not heard Norma Jean? That's how I feel about Appleseed Cast. Where it's like, if you claim to be an emo fan and you haven't heard of Appleseed Cast, I'd be like,
Okay, all right. Apparently now it's at the top of me and Lindsay's list.
There you go.
So.
Fake emos.
To make sure that
I don't want to get persecuted out here.
right,
the
Lindsay,
streets.
to retain our emo cred, we have to listen to Appleseed Cast ASAP.
We do.
All
They're
right,
going to be on the grid tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
all right, Lindsay. Let's hear the last emo hot take.
The last emo hot take. I think that we, as a society, lost something whenever we started leaning more toward venues whose bathrooms were not biohazards.
What?
I'm going to
Hell
just keep with
yes.
it.
Mason's face right now.
I have been going down this big rabbit hole on CBGB, and they had a bathroom where it was literally on this raised step, and like it was the most disgusting thing you've ever heard, and everybody just people would literally piss on the streets because the bathrooms were that bad. And that is kind of where a lot of you don't get to emo today if you don't have CBGB. And I think that there was something very lovely and wonderful about using a women's restroom at an underground venue where you make best friends with everybody around you because you're all about to get the same disease. Like that was a shared experience.
Lindsay, you were describing like a regular Friday night for me. If any of you
But
have ever been to 924 Gilman, you know what I'm talking about.
yeah. I think that it's just not common enough. People are too prissy about their bathrooms. You gotta nut up and get out there and just embrace it.
My mom would always say, "Shit or get off the pot."
Yeah. That is not what I expected.
You don't want to do that here.
Your hot take to be.
I know. It doesn't feel, but that's where a lot of emo concerts happened for me. I remember seeing Case a Day and Maylene and the Sons of Disasters and thinking I might die in the pit, but I'm most definitely gonna die in this bathroom.
Okay, I guess I retain my emo cred because most of the shows I go to are exactly what you're describing, complete biohazards. And it's do I risk going across the street to the gas station where the people right next to it are maybe doing crack, or do I risk getting whatever diseases are in this punk venue right now? It's a crapshoot, you know?
Or stuck with a needle
A literal.
or something, yeah.
Yeah, literal.
Builds character.
It does.
It does. The best St. Louis venue that for emo music was a venue that got shuttered because they kept giving underage kids alcohol.
Oh.
And they lost their liquor license. And then they're we're just going to keep serving booze anyway. So but the music, the bands that they brought in were really good. And the bathrooms that they had were really bad. And the shows that we've had ever since the Creepy Crawl closed down they've not been the same.
It was called the
There's
Creepy
Blueberry
Crawl?
Hill. It was called the Creepy Crawl. And
So here's where I would just say okay, yes, objectively, it's bad. We should not be giving underage children alcohol,
Right.
and all of that.
That is a given.
That's so bad. It's bad. And like, what if we just like keep having like music venues that do that, but also have great music, and we have like these lifetime memories like that? There's that too.
Yeah.
Like, is it like that bad that we should just eliminate that from society for like occasionally an 18-year-old getting some like booze?
Yeah.
Nah.
I am always saying this.
You know, I think what you're trying to say, Lindsay, is that even if it's a really nice venue, we just got to put in some like permanent porta potties.
Those are called bathrooms. Those are called stalls.
That are heated to like 200 degrees, like sauna temp.
Okay, have you thought about the odors?
Yikes.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, I'm just saying, like you're the one calling for this, and I
Yeah.
agree. I agree fully. So
that
like,
if you're-
we're going to delete the nice bathrooms in some of these venues, and we're going to just install a permanent porta potty that's going to stay there forever. It's never going to be cleaned out. That's how we fix this problem.
So is
No.
the point, Lindsay, question,
No.
is the point of
Yes.
your take that those kind of bathrooms and those kind of venues build character that are adjacent to like the emo, thank you. I was like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like the emo,
Yeah.
like culture, the aesthetic. Yeah.
That's exactly what it is. Like,
Amazing.
and I think that whenever Cullen says that you can just put in that's the commercialization. That's like cosplaying.
No. We're never going to take care of this porta potty.
That's
is what
like-
I'm trying to say.
That's like a My
wanna
Chemical
have the
Romance
nice-
shirt at Hot Topic. Wait,
You want
what?
to have the nice venue and the bad bathrooms? Like, no. If anything, you can swap that, but at the same time, like, mm-mm.
I think I'm with you.
And-
The better emo hardcore punk shows I've been to have not been at the nicer venues. They have been at the Catalyst in Santa Cruz, 924 Gilman in Berkeley. There's this skate shop. I think it's in Oakland.
This is my other point, but go ahead.
That has like a one stall bathroom and like a shower in it that is clearly not used, and like the metal part of the shower is like pulled off of the wall, and the toilet paper's on the ground, and this is just where everyone goes to the bathroom.
Yeah.
And like that's the other thing. We need to stop. Like we need to also branch out on what we consider a venue. Like there used to be like, oh, this person is playing down at a laundromat. Jimmy Eat World played at an Arby's. We need to be doing that more regularly, but not just for TikTok views. And those also are going to have like an Arby's bathroom. Yeah, that's going to be a bad experience. It's consistent.
It's Arby's sauce everywhere.
I
know,
like
I'm a
it.
big fan. I also agree. It does feel wrong if you go to a nice venue with nice bathrooms, especially, and you're listening to what is essentially underground music.
If like the soap dispenser is not actually causing you more harm than it's doing good, like if you can like sniff the air and not get a little bit high, I'm not
I ain't
interested.
about that. Yeah.
I ain't about that.
Lindsay, it just sounds like you're just like, I mean, just go 60 miles anywhere in any direction outside of St. Louis, and you're going to be able to find one of these bathrooms.
Lindsay,
I
come
mean-
visit me and I will take you to these bathrooms.
Yes, I would like a bathroom tour of like everybody's cities.
I
know what?
promise.
I'm
gonna
actually
really
surprised that that's
what
not
we should
like a coffee table book by some like
That's
massive
gosh.
photographer.
that should be a thing.
Shitty bathrooms?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Shitty bathrooms.
No,
Shitty
Shitty
venue
bathrooms.
Venue
Yes.
bathrooms. Yeah.
that absolutely should be a coffee table book. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I bet venues that I go to on the regular would be in that book.
Yeah.
Proud to say it.
Maybe you should be the one to do it.
Maybe that's my next project.
Yeah.
My favorite one that I've been to, Cullen, is Otter Saloon. Like the men's bathroom, you
Otter
just
Saloon's
open up
great.
and you're like anyone could see any guy pissing right there.
Yeah,
it's
it's great.
It's
And,
pretty epic.
Like literally the entire bar can see
You
it.
could just
Um,
anybody can
my-
just see a guy pissing.
The other really good one is that place we ate breakfast at near your house, your new house.
Oh, that was stinky.
That one smells, and I love when they put ice inside the urinals.
Oh, it sounds
What?
refreshing.
Wait, why?
This is a super common thing. They'll put ice inside the urinals so that like you can't like spit random junk into like the actual drain, first of all, and it helps to knock down scent.
Can I ask a horrible question, and you can edit this out?
Sure.
Is it a little satisfying to pee on it?
Yeah, absolutely.
The
Okay.
ice?
Yeah, you try to see
Yeah.
if you can melt an entire
Yeah.
cube with one
Okay,
stream.
that's what I was wondering.
It's the best.
I didn't mean my take to be this disgusting, but I guess here we are.
You didn't think that disgusting bathrooms was going to be disgusting?
I thought it was going to be a little pleasant.
You thought it was going to be romantic and
Yeah, I thought,
Amazing.
or romanticized
that's,
at least.
think about all the love stories that have started out because somebody called a girl's number that was written on the wall. I'm sure it's a lot. I'm sure a lot of love stories started out that way.
I bet you exactly one, maybe
I know.
0
I don't know if a lot is right, but Lindsay, to
Probably
your
more
point,
arrests than marriages.
Yeah. Probably
There-
more like SAs actually.
Oh my
than
gosh.
anything.
There,
Oh my god, now we're back to the first point.
you did say something about like girls in the bathrooms like making like best friends or whatever. Like
Yeah.
that is still a thing, but it's only in those bathrooms. When I go to see a band in San Francisco at like the Wiltern or Fox Theater or like these bigger venues, like that does not happen. Girl, they're not looking at me, they're not talking to me. But when I am in like the shitty bathroom with all the graffiti and all of the stickers, it's like, oh my God, you look so good, or like, what's your favorite band, or like, how's your night going? Every time, to your point, every time. I don't know what the deal is. I don't know why it's like that, but you are correct.
I'm telling you, like it's a very lovely experience having to share a horrible bathroom together.
Yeah,
I love it.
It creates community, creates camaraderie. Anyway,
Right.
okay, Lindsay, on my list of to do is find a show that you and I can go to together in California. It'll help pay for your plane ticket. Convince your husband to let you come so that you can experience the California punk shitty bathrooms with me. And
I'll just leave him. It's fine.
and we'll bond. Perfect.
No, not really.
Love it. Well,
He's still playing WoW.
those are incredible takes, including our bathroom takes. I love hearing what you all think about emo music, and I think the thing is like as much as we had our own hot takes right now, I think we could probably come up with even more hotter takes at some other
Should we
point.
do one more hot take but have no discourse over it? We just have to leave it on the table.
I don't think I have any more. That's the problem.
Oh, you don't?
Yeah, I
No.
only have like maybe one more, but like it's not really even that hot. It's like not good.
Okay.
Maybe we table it for another time
Yep.
or some
Oh
other
yeah.
adjacent podcast, because this was super fun, and I don't know, I'm really honored to be talking to all of you guys. You have amazing taste in music. You're wonderful people. I just feel really lucky to even be invited to talk about this stuff with you guys.
Back at you.
Well,
back at you.
We're excited that you wanted to join. Both of you wanted to join. Yeah, I love talking emo anytime I get the chance to. So thanks so much for sharing your hot takes. I'm excited to see what the world thinks about our hot takes and if they have even hotter takes than ours. So
Right?
thanks
Yeah.
so much.